Okay, so welcome to it's not me, it's you. I think it's a great title, which I thought was hilarious. I can't take credit; somebody else brought it up. Hilarious. So Tim DeCesaro is here, and I'll explain what kind of the vibe we're going for and the thought is. Many times, I have sat in your shop, mostly your shop, because yours is way nicer and has more cool car stuff. Like you got a lift and lots of tools and all sorts of cool stuff. Mine mostly wood stuff, right? So,
Right.
but you and I will sit there and chat and we'll talk about things. And I wish I could bottle that, right? Because I'm not going to live forever. You're not going to live forever. And wouldn't it be cool to hear the stories or hear events, how they happened through those people rather than having to recount? You and I have been to a funeral of a friend who, at the very end, we're all telling stories and stuff like that. And I thought, how cool would it be if we had like an audio recording or a video recording of that person telling us that version of that story, right? How cool would that be? So there is absolutely no topic off limits here. You can talk about whatever you like. You can tell me anything, whatever. It can be car related. It doesn't have to be car related. You saw what Scott's last interview that we did. He decided to tell a certain part of his life story. You can tell us your part of your story, but your drink of choice was brandy. So we've got a little bit here. I don't clink to nothing. So just FYI, if you choose to toast or clink, I don't just do it for nothing. We have to clink to a thing.
Okay.
So you have to say something or I have to say something. So tell me when.
Good.
All right. I'll have a little bit as well. It's the brand I had. It was nothing in particular.
Yeah, well, it looks tasty.
It was a
Looks
present.
tasty.
It was a present. So here's to you, the many years you and I have known each other, and good conversation.
And thank you for the invite.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually not that's not half bad. And I don't even think it's like an expensive brand or anything.
No, it isn't, but it's tasty.
Yeah, it's good.
You know. So
Yeah. So the question is who are you and what do you want to tell me?
well, so I'm retired. You know, I've retired twice, so
You have.
I was very fortunate in that I worked for several years for Johnson Controls, and
Yep.
we did some exciting things. I worked with a lot of different customers, like Interstate Batteries, which forced me to go to NASCAR races. I worked with
Required you to go
required to go to NASCAR races. I worked with car manufacturers in Detroit,
Mhm.
Volkswagen, Mercedes. I worked with a multitude of car companies, which is an enlightenment, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Then I worked with the OPTIMA Battery Group for a while. I worked with Napa for a while, and I worked with battery specialists. But I got a great battery specialist story for you.
Okay.
So my last year, I knew I was going to retire. So I ran this promotion, and we did the Castles on the Rhine trip.
What is that?
That's where you get on a boat. You get on a boat in Amsterdam,
Okay.
and you go down the Rhine River, and you stop at castles. And since you were just looking at castles,
Several. Almost got sick of castles actually.
I have a deal with my wife: no more castles and no more cathedrals. But it was kind of fun.
They have a lot of those in Europe.
Yeah, they have.
They're
a
very
lot.
proud of those.
Yeah. So we took a trip down the Rhine,
Okay.
and it was kind of interesting because these guys that won these trips got more money than God. They could afford to buy this trip without even thinking about it.
Sure.
They spent more money buying first-class airplane ticket upgrades than I spent on the trip. But they enjoy taking trips that somebody else pays for,
Right.
and we had a great time. So that was kind of how I ended my battery career. Interestingly enough, I sold my first battery in 1971, working at a Sears store in Kenosha, Wisconsin. So I started my career sort of selling batteries, and I kind of ended my career selling batteries. So it's kind of a
Yeah, and for those who are not aware, JCI makes Optima, right?
owns Optima batteries.
Yeah, they own Optima batteries, but
Yeah.
and you were telling me once that there's only 3 major manufacturers of batteries and a couple smaller ones.
Yeah, so what's happened lately, though, is that the Koreans and some of the offshore manufacturers have suddenly become larger because of supply constraints.
Okay.
So now there's probably 4 key guys that supply all the batteries around the globe.
Okay.
So it's grown up by a few suppliers.
Yeah, for a long time though, it was JCI Interstate,
Exide,
Exide, and who was the third one?
East Penn,
Okay, and what brand would they sell under?
Deca brand.
Deca. Oh yeah, DEKA.
Yeah, Deca
Deca.
brand.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you remember, if you remember right, you had AC Delco in there, but
Yep.
AC Delco sold all their plants and such to Johnson Controls. Motorcraft sold all their plants and such to Johnson Controls.
Yeah.
So Johnson Controls acquired a lot of that business um, as time went on through the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s.
Okay.
So it's been about 2006 is when they acquired the AC Delco brand and all those plants.
Yeah.
They didn't acquire the brand, excuse me, they acquired all the manufacturing.
Okay, so all the tooling and the
Exactly.
the manufacturing needs.
Exactly.
Somebody once told me, and I won't mention who. Somebody you and I both know together, but said that your special skill is bringing deals together. So now you can confirm this or deny this or say whatever the hell you want, really. But this person said through you don't have like a ton of formal education, but what you do have is you do have the ability to bring people together and make a deal happen.
Well, we did do quite a bit of that. So
Yeah.
that was part of the fun of the job, right? Was making deals happen.
Yeah.
Now, in fairness, I didn't go to college till I was 33.
Okay.
So I graduated with my bachelor's degree when I was 39, 11 months and 2 weeks, because my goal was to graduate before I was 40.
Okay.
Then I got my MBA before I was 42.
Okay.
Then I went back when we lived in Detroit to get a master's in international business. So when I started my career, I didn't really have the education, but
Got it.
But as time went on, I acquired it just for the willingness to want to learn on what was going on. So, But putting deals together, that was always kind of the fun part, right? I mean, was trying to find out the customer's needs, identifying that need, and then being able to satisfy that need profitably. That's the real key, right?
Yeah.
Because anybody can sell a deal, but can you sell a deal and make money on it?
Yeah.
Right.
I did. A friend of mine has a great story where they were a lawyer and they were writing up a contract, and they had in the contract the legalese they had forgotten a zero. So let's say the deal was 35 million. He put it as 3.5 million and thought he was going to get fired because he mixed it. Everybody had signed it. Nobody had seen the typo. And he comes back and he's like, I'm going to get fired and they're just going to let me go. And I just made this horrible mistake. And he goes, both sides laughed because they said, look, this partnership's going to go on a long time. We're not going to quibble about a typo. Like the deal is done. We're not going to hold you to the account that everybody signed, or some of that bull crap. And that was an indication to me about business relationships.
Relationships are basically everything. And when we talked about like that trip, that castle trip, that was for building relationships.
Yeah.
It was for nothing else. It was to build relationships, to bring that value add that doesn't cost the company margin,
Sure.
right? To build those relationships. One thing that you talk about mistakes in contracts and things of that nature. There's a European car manufacturer who remained anonymous, and the European entity said, well, if you want the business in the U.S., you got to give us back $2 a battery. Okay.
Okay.
But you can't tell the U.S. you're giving us $2 a battery. You just got to send it to us. You can't tell them. So one day I get a phone call from our leadership and says, we don't care what you got to do, get the deal done. I go, how much can I give away? Well, the Germans, excuse me, I just gave away what country it's from, but
There's a few German ones.
The European entity said, if you got to give the $2 away, give the $2 away.
Yeah.
Okay. So I go there and I sit down with the guy and I go, so what do we got to do to close this deal? And he goes, give me $2. I go, you got it.
Yeah.
We walked away and we got the deal done, and all we gave them was their own money. Right?
Yeah.
The part that's interesting is that sometimes you get international organizations and the right hand doesn't think the left hand knows what's going on, but they really do.
Sure.
Because the car company in question had a filter deal like that where they knew money was getting kicked back to Europe.
Sure.
So they knew they figured out how much money was on the table.
Yeah.
It was going back to Europe and said, we want the money.
Yeah. Now they know that that's an option. That they can do that.
Yeah.
So how long were you at JCI? You were there quite a while.
14 years.
14 years?
Yeah.
And what was your terminal position? What did you
I was
end up doing?
director of sales.
Okay.
And I was director of sales for OPTIMA, and it was also encompassed the battery specialist
Yeah.
People who most of us never heard of. And I also ran what they call the refurb center. So we had a facility. We had a facility in Columbus, Georgia, which was kind of an interesting facility. It had 36 employees.
Mm-hmm.
We brought back batteries from customers, and these 36 people that worked at this plant, what they would do is they go through trail loads of batteries, pick out the ones that were less than 2 years old, figure out if they were still good or not, and then we would charge them, clean them, stamp them as used, and then we would sell them to our customers who then sell them to used car lots.
Oh, okay.
So it was kind of a fun deal because they go down there once a month, they'd buy them all pizza and ice cream.
Yeah.
And it was, but it was also challenging because we had high utility rates because you're charging batteries.
Mm-hmm.
So we put a plan together to replace all the battery chargers. We put a plan together to replace all the forklifts. You've seen how my cars look, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're really dirty, right?
You're right.
I bought a scrubber to clean the floors with because you got to have clean floors. You
Yeah.
can't work. You got to have a clean environment. It doesn't matter if you're cleaning batteries, dirty, ugly batteries, or what. You still got to have a clean environment.
I mean, when you look around here, this is fairly clean for, but I absolutely can feel.
The cleanliness.
Oh, yeah, there's something to cling to right there. When I can feel it when it's dirty, when there's sawdust, even though, I got this big industrial dust sucker, it still gets everywhere.
Yeah.
And then once it's clean, I feel instantly better.
Yeah, it's cleanliness is next to godliness.
Mm-hmm.
So so it was kind of fun. To be honest with you, that was the most fun I ever had.
Really?
Was running that facility because it was something out of your comfort zone, right? Something you weren't familiar with. And the part that was interesting is it's no secret that, Johnson Controls now called Clarios.
Mm-hmm.
They supply batteries to AutoZone, Advance, O'Reilly, just about every major retailer. And some of the sales guys would use it as quote unquote their dumping ground to put old displays and stuff. So I would charge them. They have to buy everybody in the plant pizza once a month if they left their materials there too long.
Oh, really?
So the guys in the plant got pizza at least 2 or 3 times a month. So
Nice.
they were always very thankful for that.
To your point, I think there is a matriculation of some of the benefits. And my wife talks about this a lot, to your point about the people who could afford those luxury cruises and everything. The higher you go up, the more free stuff people want to throw at you because they want your attention, they want your they want your approval, they need something from you, so therefore they're willing to give you a bunch of free stuff. But along the same lines, I have found that matriculate, if you can matriculate your kickbacks, your freebies, nothing illegal, of course.
Right.
But if your freebies, like the food goes a long way with a lot of folks. But bonuses even, or higher standard of work or whatever, if that matriculates to the people below you, that is a much more net positive than almost anything that you can throw at folks.
Well, yeah, right, and that's part of the whole program, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not only do you have to take care of the customers, but you also have to take care of the people that take care of those customers.
Yes.
So I had a sales team, and so we ran a promotion that said if you grew your business X amount, you got to go on the trip. Well, the sales guy got to go on the trip too.
Oh.
So our sales guy got to go on the trip as well as the customer. So there was a double incentive for people to be able to meet those numbers, and we doubled the volume in a year. So I mean, it worked really well because these people, it fueled their egos, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't so much that they got a free trip. It was my supplier gave me a trip.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what really drives a lot of their decision making. Obviously, price and service and all the other factors enter into it. But when you've neutralized all that,
Mm-hmm.
You come up with those intangibles like a trip or something of that nature. So.
Well, and you have found this, and we have discussed this before, but it is really a relationship when you're working with people, because I mean, like you said, there's 4 places that you can buy batteries from, obviously more if they want to make somebody's smaller company's day. But at the end of the day, what you're really looking for is the person I'm working with. Can I trust them to fix stuff when it goes wrong, but also hold to the agreement that we agreed to? Do I trust the person that I'm working with?
Well, it's good. It's interesting you bring that up because we had a situation where what I had done is we had broken the country into like 9 sections, and we had 9 exclusive guys that participated in the program throughout the country. Well, we had a fellow in the Northeast that didn't think he didn't care what we did. He just wanted a cheap price. Okay. Well, we were trying to overcome price being the driver. That's why we were bringing all these intangible different programs in,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
So one of his fellow independent distributors that they were big buddies with said, well, you ought to let him come even though he didn't qualify. Can't do that. Okay. How can I look you in the face and say you had to abide by the rules and he didn't have to abide by the rules?
Yeah.
So consequently, he didn't go. Well, you know what? They gave us credibility that we do what we say we're going to do, and that if you earn it, you've earned it. If you don't earn it, you haven't earned it.
Yeah.
And it worked out. And it worked out fair.
It's a fair system.
Very fair system. So everybody was happy and everybody had a great time.
Did that guy ever come around or just?
I retired.
Oh.
So we took the trip in October. Of 2013. Is when we took the trip, and I retired in November of 2013.
Yeah.
So, but then after I retired,
I was gonna say, how long did it take before that? Because I know you didn't really retire. You sort of did, and then got bored.
Yeah. So I had a couple deals. I had a couple battery people wanted to hire me to do things.
Yeah, because you had all the experience.
I didn't really want to do that.
Sure.
Just because I didn't want to do that. So Cameron Evans.
I do.
So Cameron, I talked to Cameron through Cam Douglas help arranges.
Yeah.
So Cam Evans called me. He goes, "Hey, want to work for a few years?" Well, by that time, Redline had just been purchased by a private equity firm in like September of 2013. And so I go, as long as I don't have a lot of stuff to deal with.
Yeah.
Right? So he gave me responsible for the JAGs and the AutoZones and O'Reilly's, and because we were selling some product to them. So I go, I'll work for 3 or 4 years. I have no problem with that. So I went to work for Redline. The first year was really tough because I had to go to 18 NHRA events.
And I know how much you hate drag racing.
Yeah.
You absolutely. By the way, he won't shut up about it.
Yeah. So that first year I had to go to 18 NHRA events, and it was it was with the Coletta team, which at the time was a dominant team. Doug's team was massive. I don't know them, but I was familiar enough. At that time, they were running 5 or 6 cars.
Oh, wow.
Because they had the Patron Tequila car, the DHL car. They had another funny car that slips my mind now.
Yeah, they had one of each, right? A Pro Stock, a Top Fuel, and a funny car?
No Pro Stock.
No Pro Stock, okay.
They had 3
just funny
cars and 2 or 3. Oh, yeah. And then our friends from McLeod Clutch were also running the car. I'm not sure it was that year or the next year.
Yeah.
But I had a great time. It was so what I was doing was, interestingly enough, Redline loaned me to OPTIMA to do training for Advanced Auto Parts Store employees at the drag races.
Okay.
So I would get there and I do training for the employees and for advanced employees, and I had a great time.
Yeah.
And I did that at 18 events, and it was like I say, I cannot say enough good things about how nice the Coletta team was. How nice, like Jim McElvain from OPTIMA. Jim supplied me with all the data and the materials to share with the advanced group, and Cameron Evans gave me the opportunity to do it. So it worked out really well for everybody.
Yeah.
And then on May 5th, so then Phillips 66 bought Redline Oil.
Oh, did it? Okay.
So then I worked for a few more years, and then on May 5th of, I think it was 2017, my mother's health was deteriorating. I just didn't want to work anymore.
Sure.
So I gave them my 90 days notice, and I left in September. And I got to give them credit. They're really nice. It was very, very nice. I went to Sonoma for the drag races. They had a party for me, and we had a party at the drag races, and I came home and I was done working.
Yeah.
So it was very nice. It was a great experience.
You do have to, you did tell me once, one of my favorite stories that you did tell me was about you working for a particular European manufacturer with Redline, and how you had your organization had made a superior product, but, and I'll let you finish the story.
Yeah, well, they didn't want that good a product.
So your product was better though.
The product was better,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't meet their specification because of the amount of zinc and phosphate. And anybody knows has been in the auto business knows that like one of the things that makes like flat tapping cams and anti-wear is zinc and phosphate.
Zinc, yeah.
And they wanted all that taken out. Not all of it, but the majority of it taken out.
Yeah.
So you end up with a product that's not as good,
Right. But didn't meet their spec.
but did meet their spec. So it's just interesting seeing how people look at things and how and just same with the battery business, how you could offer them a better battery. You could offer the Europeans were pretty hard headed about that. Okay.
Yeah.
You could offer them a better product for the same money, but that's not what they want. They want the battery that meets exactly their specification. So if their specification is a 72 amp hour battery with these certain criteria, and you tell me you want to give them an 80, no, we only want a 72. So it's interesting seeing seeing how different.
What's behind? Do you have any theory as to why they would? Why would they matter?
Well, I've stayed up a few nights trying to figure that out.
I bet you have.
And I think it's just that they're so driven by specifications that they don't want deviation from that specification.
Okay.
You know, so most of them. So as an example, we dealt with Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Mitsubishi, Mazda, Subaru, Saab. The list goes on, right? And if their spec called for a 720 CCA battery, and you were going to give them a 750 and label it as a 720, they were thrilled to death with that.
Sure.
But when you get to the Europeans, what the spec they have is the spec they want.
That seems to be a theme, at least with the American companies that I've seen through the years, from like the 50s on. They'll tell you one thing, but then it's usually 10 to 20% above. I don't know if it's a failure rate thing or if they're just, I don't know what their deal is.
Well, what the domestic car companies want to do is they want to blame you for everything first that goes wrong, right?
Sure.
And then they want you to give them a price reduction every year.
Right.
Got to give them a price reduction, right? Because, well, you made it last year. You got to make it cheaper this year, right?
Yeah. Same truck.
Yeah.
Same 1,500 every year.
Yeah. So it's got to be less money this year. So it's interesting seeing the mindset of what goes on. I don't know if you know, but at one point, General Motors had this idea that they were going to do online auctions where they're going to put, let's say, batteries or car seats or tires, whatever the case may be, and all the vendors were going to quote, we're going to bid on online at the same time.
Like kind of like the military does contracts in a way.
Yeah. But then they found it cost them more money.
Yeah.
So that only lasted about 30 days, and then they figured out that this is not a.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like if you look at a lot of the big retailers, the retailers out there.
Yeah.
They'll remain anonymous, but most of them, they don't pay for the product for a year.
Really?
So the product on the shelf, you pay for it today.
Sure.
They don't pay the vendor for a year. So they had this idea of going to what they call pay at scan, where you were going to pay for it. They were going to pay the vendor when it was sold to the consumer. And they figured, oh, this is a bad deal for us because right now we got 12 months to pay for it.
Sure.
Here we got 30 days to pay for it.
Sure.
So it's interesting seeing how they've driven themselves into a box to a certain degree, which makes it tough to change.
Yeah, it's interesting that there's a lot that happens behind the scenes that most people aren't aware of.
Yeah.
And the new thing is data collection. A lot of the as I say, I'd say almost every single manufacturer now that has, I don't know how many modules are in a car these days, but are collecting data on everybody, right? Yeah. That's not new. But most people don't think, well, as long as I don't do the subscription to whatever service comes with the car, like, no. The car is still, look, Tesla is a great example of this, right? They have that camera that's facing you that, the public image of why that's there is because, we want to check for your alertness to see if you're, awake or if you check behavior. No. That's liability. They're covering their ass is what they're doing. That's a CYA move.
Yeah. I mean, I don't subscribe to I subscribe to satellite radio.
Yep.
In 3 of my vehicles. And I don't subscribe. As an example, your truck, you can subscribe to AT&T.
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Well, I got 3 cars I can do that in. I don't subscribe to any of them.
Right. Neither do I.
But every month I get a report telling me the oil life on my car.
Yep.
If there's any check engine lights.
Tire pressure.
Yeah. How are they sending me that?
Yeah. How do they know that?
Yeah. Yeah. You're not gathering information on me though. But back to what you were saying about how Teslas, they're starting to suck. You want heated seats? It's $12 a month. You want
BMW tried to do that recently.
that did not go over well.
Are you telling me that a car that I purchase, I don't fully own, and is now a subscription service? Back the fuck up. No. I paid for that thing, and I'm in the right to repair business, at least as far as my current company. So the right to repair is a big deal to me. And I am a believer that once I buy your product and I have it in my hot little hands, it's mine. I own it. Now, there is an argument to be said for the proprietary information that goes with it, the patents. I'm not going to sell the patents or, that I couldn't do anything with. But if I own a thing and I have it in my hot little hands and I want to put a little tchotchke on top of it and a little siren that goes woo, woo, woo every time I turn it on, why can't I do that?
Well, because they can't make money on it.
Yeah.
So I think it's General Motors claims the amount of money they're going to make on subscriptions in the next 5 years is going to be their biggest profit maker.
At what point do the manufacturers then say it's not worth it though?
Or does the consumer say it's not worth it?
Yeah, well, but then here's my fear is that they're just going to push it that direction. The manufacturers, because I mean, let's be honest, they all talk to each other. Let's not have any illusions. They know each other. They talk to each other. I've seen them linked on LinkedIn.
Or they talk to their suppliers.
Yeah, there's a few suppliers out there too, and that are linked in various fashions. That they don't all collectively choose to push it that direction, so you don't have any choice. So as cars get older, there's less of them, and at a certain point, you then have no choice.
Well, if we look at it, let's just look at it today.
Yeah.
How many people have a 10-year-old car with XM radio in it that don't subscribe?
Probably all of them. I'd say 100,
Right.
Almost 100%.
So as cars get older, people don't buy the subscription service because they bought the car for $4,000.
Yeah.
Am I going to spend $120 a month listening to radio?
No.
So how much is that is going to go on, right?
Yeah.
As time goes on. I mean, navigation, I'm surprised they haven't started charging a subscription. Well, they sort of do charge a subscription. I mean, I bought an update to my wife's nav system in her car, and it cost me $100, I think. But that was a choice.
But how many people use that nav in the car, though?
Well, I'm old. See, old people like me use the nav in the car.
No, you have this thing that's updated for free, right? You have this black box. They call it the black mirror, right?
Yeah, but
and you plug it into your.
I got this screen that's this big,
right?
That I can see.
But that's what the USB cord's for. And it pops up on my truck or my Corvette or my wife's Buick or.
Well, we don't do that.
Whoop, Android Auto.
Some of us like a screen, like when I drove here to your house.
Yeah.
I put your address.
You typed it in there?
In my truck.
Really?
Well, actually, I spoke to it.
Okay.
I was driving down the street and I talked my address.
Well, we'll have to talk about that because I have tried both ways, and Android Auto, within 5 seconds, is 1,000 times easier than trying to do that touchscreen pile of junk.
Well,
the one that comes natively with the truck.
Well,
we'll have to talk.
And it depends on the vehicle too.
Does it?
So you got to remember.
Okay.
That I have 3 vehicles that all have the same system.
Yeah.
My wife's car, my truck.
Perfect. Even better. Just plug in your phone.
They all work the same.
Perfect.
And the reason I have Apple phones is because I don't want to learn a new one.
Okay. Well, Apple CarPlay.
Yeah, I have that in all my cars.
Yeah, and you plug in your phone and
interestingly enough, that you do mention that is in my Corvette.
Yep.
And in my old Mustang, I use Apple CarPlay.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah.
And use the nav Apple off my phone on Apple CarPlay.
Isn't it nice?
And XM radio on my Apple. So I do it.
Okay, all right.
But the cars that got it, I'm lazy.
All right, fair enough.
I don't cut grass either.
That's right. I was trying to convert you a little bit. Yeah. I don't know. I cut my own grass. I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm lazy.
I don't have that sweet retirement money that you've got going on there.
Living on a fixed income's tough.
That's the running joke that many people may not be aware of the inside joke you and I have, but you know, uh, you're fine. Let's just be frank. You're fine. The finances are not a major concern. So when we say that you lived on a fixed income, it's because we're under the impression you're doing just fine.
Well, I am struggling with, I'm just glad to see that we're going to get about a 10% increase in our Social Security payments
Are
in
you?
January.
Okay.
So I'm pretty excited about that.
You're gonna go from 750 to 775? Is that what's happening?
It's fortunately it's more than that, but
Yeah.
But it's interesting seeing the amount of people that retire with no money.
Yeah.
And they think it's mysteriously going to appear one day.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
Maybe I was weird, but I was seriously scared about retirement at 20.
So was I.
I was freaked out. Now, you thankfully did not have to go through what I went through, and I highly recommend if people can avoid a divorce, please avoid it. Okay. However, during mine, I had to give up every penny, and I had to start over, which sucked.
Yeah.
But you didn't, and you have stayed with your lovely wife for quite a while now.
45 consecutive years.
45 years. And I still have. I've met her once. Have I met her once?
Yeah, you met her. Yeah.
More than that. Okay.
Yeah.
But like our wives don't hang out or anything like that.
No. We first started dating in high school.
Okay.
So I've known not only does my wife know where my skeletons are buried, she helped me bury them.
I was gonna say, yeah.
But it's funny you mentioned that because I got savings bonds. Remember I was telling you that I sold batteries at Sears?
Yeah.
I got savings bonds from when I worked at Sears that I had just started cashing in.
Really?
Because
Can't imagine what those are worth nowadays.
Some of them like tripled.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So $10 to 30.
Well, yeah. But so I decided that, we're gonna go to Israel for our 45th wedding anniversary.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So the Bible story at Cana. So we're gonna go to Cana and renew our wedding vows.
Oh, nice.
So that'd be kind of cool. And then we're gonna go to Australia, New Zealand, in February next year. So we're pretty excited about that as well.
So the many people who don't a lot of people who kind of watch or listen to the podcast that I do are mostly just friends on Facebook. So they may know you, they may not know you, but you have taken on a side job. You semi-retired again.
Yeah.
So you retired a second time, and now you're working your third job, which honestly sounds like the most fun, because when you tell me stories of it, sounds like the most fun job you've had.
Yeah. So let me give you the whole story here. So I sat and thought, I see these kids taking out school loans they can't pay back and doing things like this.
Mm-hmm.
So junior achievement is one of the ways they try to educate kids on government, on finances, schools. So the school district where I live was looking for volunteers to teach junior achievement. Okay.
Yeah.
So I volunteered. Well, then COVID hit.
Yeah. And you're pretty good with finance, and you understand that side of things.
Yeah, I can add 2 + 2.
Okay.
Pretty well.
Fair enough.
So we're going to go do this deal with junior achievement, but they canceled it. So I go to turn in my stuff, and I'm talking to the guy, and he goes, "Hey, I thought this would be kind of fun." He goes, "Well, we need subs like really, really, really bad. Have you thought about being a substitute teacher?" I go, "No." He goes, "We need substitute teachers really, really bad." He goes, "You got a college degree?" I go, "Got a master's degree."
There you go.
He goes, "You qualify." So
perfect.
But I had to get licensed by the state and everything. So I go and I take they have a Zoom thing. It was 2 4-hour classes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we get on this, and these people are like, "Well, I lost my job because of COVID, and my wife lost her job because of COVID, so I'm going to be a substitute teacher to help supplement the income, blah, blah, blah." And then they get to me, and I go, "They said they needed subs, and I needed a hobby. Thought it'd be fun."
Yeah.
And these people look at me like, "You son of a bitch. You're taking food off my table." So I passed the background check somehow.
Yeah.
And I get all this stuff done, right? So I did it one day in a public school.
Okay.
Just can't remember. I was 66.
Yeah.
I became a substitute teacher at 66.
And what age was the class? 4th graders? Third graders. Okay. So how old is this? 8-year-olds?
8, 9, yeah.
Okay.
So
classroom of them and you.
But it wasn't the kids. It was more the institution.
Yeah.
It was, "Well, that's not in my contract. Well, that's not in my contract." And I'm like, I don't really care what's in your contract. If this is what we need to do, this is what we need to do.
Yeah.
And I just didn't feel comfortable. Okay. So we go to a church in Somerset, and they had an ad in the church bulletin that said, we're looking for substitute teachers. So I sent the principal an email and said, hey, I got a deal for you. I'm licensed. I passed all the state, I got all the state paperwork.
Yep.
Here's copies of it. And I'll do it for free. They hired me.
Shocking.
So
Free labor.
So the first year I went on every Thursday, and I worked with kids that needed help with reading,
Okay.
or I helped with assessments. So I'd be there all day on Thursday, unless there was a sick teacher.
Mhm.
But fortunately, there wasn't a sick teacher that whole year. They didn't need me that whole year to fill in for a teacher, so I did
Oh,
that.
that's actually pretty nice.
But you got to remember, the school has 100 kids in it.
Yeah.
So I got to know all the kids.
Yeah.
So then I went back last year, and she wanted me to come every Thursday. I said, sure, Thursday's fine.
Mhm.
So I went every Thursday, and they had a lot of sick teachers that year. So I taught first grade for a week, I taught second grade, I taught third grade, I taught fourth grade, I taught social studies for middle school, I taught English. Best one was I taught Spanish one day.
Oh, yeah. Senior Tim.
I taught Spanish one day.
Do you know any Spanish?
Not that I can say to the kids. So I'm in the computer lab with the kids teaching a Spanish class. So I knew where all the answers were and everything, right? So
Yeah.
this one kid comes up and he's asking me a question. I go, hey, if I go, you need to learn this language. If I give you the answers, you're never going to learn it. So you go to page 42 and you're going to find the answer on page 42.
Yeah, there it
but
is.
I'm not giving you the answer. You need to go find the answer.
Yeah.
So see, I can teach Spanish.
There you go.
So, but it's a lot of fun. I have a good time doing it. This year I'm going to do it on Tuesdays.
Okay.
So I start the Monday after, or the Tuesday after Labor Day. So for me, it's fun. I have
Yeah.
a good time, and the kids.
This is a private school.
It's a private school. It's a
Okay.
private school. Yeah. What I won't forget this. It's a great story.
Okay.
I do some of my children's quotes on Facebook that some
Yeah.
of you have probably seen.
They're great.
So this third grader one day goes. So they call me Mr. Tim because trying to say DeCesaro, I forget that's worthless.
Right.
So I go, so Mr. Tim, he goes, you do this as a volunteer? And I go, yep. He goes, that paid pretty well? I go, what? I go, well, it's called volunteer because you don't get paid. And he looks at me and he goes, well, if you don't get paid, how do you buy stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for a third grader, I thought that was pretty insightful.
Yeah. Right.
But here is my best one yet, though.
Okay.
Here's my best one. So
All right.
sometimes I do recess.
Okay.
And some first grade girl always falls down and comes crying.
Sure.
Well, we have a little park bench out there by the playground, right?
Okay.
That's the healing bench.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. So when they fall down, they hurt
Where you put your
themselves.
carburetors and put them back together.
So when they fall down, they hurt themselves. You say,
Yeah.
are you okay? You empathize with them.
Yeah.
You know, if you go sit on that bench, you're going to feel a lot better because that bench has the power to help heal you.
Sure.
And they're, really, Mr. Tim?
Yeah.
I go, you just go there and you feel better. You'll feel better. Well, then they see all their friends running around having fun. They mysteriously get healed in no time at all.
It's a miracle.
So yeah, it is. I do have fun. In this school, you know, it's a private school. You don't have discipline issues.
Yeah.
You know, they appreciate what you do. I mean, give you an idea. So the dealership where I buy my cars at, I took it in one day and I go, can you take me to school? I took it in for some service. Can you take me to school? And they go, oh yeah, no problem. And I take it in and they go, I go, can I get a ride to St. Anne's school? And I go, are you Mr. Tim? I go, yeah, I'm Mr. Tim. The service writer goes, service manager, hey, this is Mr. Tim. I find out the service writer, the service manager, and the general manager's kids all go to school there.
Yeah.
So they give me a ride to school, right? I get a call about 11 o'clock. And anybody that's got a Ford knows I got a number pad on the door pan, on the B-pillar.
Yeah. For the key to get in.
To get in if you don't have a key. Right?
Sure. Sure.
So they call me and go, hey, do you know the code to your door? And I go, yeah. And he goes, great. Then we're going to drop your truck off for you about 11. So I don't have to go back and get it at the end of the day.
Nice.
Yeah. So change your oil, do whatever needed to be done, and
Dropped it off for
the
you.
truck was ready for me. So it
Oh.
does have some side benefits that you don't always see.
Yeah. Wait, there was a piece in there that I have a hard time with, and that you mentioned, and I think you and I could probably agree on this, even though I don't think we've never discussed it. But you mentioned that's not in my contract, and I absolutely hate that phrase, or the other phrase is, that's not in my job description,
Yeah.
or whatever, right? That's not what I was hired to do. And that phrase drives me absolutely nuts
Me too.
for lots of reasons.
Me too.
Like, I am not above sweeping a floor. I am not above taking out the garbage. I am not above going and holding somebody's hand if they have to, go somewhere. Like if you're dealing with little kids, holding their hand while they go to the nurse or something. I mean, I hate that it's not in my job description.
Yeah.
Hate it.
Yeah, and then the only time I heard contract at this school was I was talking to the kindergarten teacher one day at lunch, and I go, "Hey, you coming back in fall?" Because she's about the same age as me. She goes, "No, when I go to renew my contract, I'm telling them I'm retiring." That was the only time I heard contract in 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's just a different culture, right? I mean, it's just a different culture, and it's reflected in the test scores of the kids. It's reflected across the board. So it's fun. I have a good time, and the part that's interesting is my wife's a registered nurse, and she's working in the cafeteria at my grandson's school, which is also a private school.
Oh, really?
So they couldn't find the main cook got sick, so the backup cook became the main cook, and they couldn't find any help, and then they couldn't find anybody to backfill that because for whatever reason. So my wife was volunteering there a couple days a week. So
oh wow,
so it's kind of fun. I mean, people who say, "Oh, I'd retire, but I got nothing. I don't know what I do when I retire." There are so many things you can volunteer for to do.
Yeah.
Within the community that it's there's lots of things that can consume your time, and let's be real, people did stuff for us, right?
Yeah.
It's only fair that we try to give back to others, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've heard from a lot of my retired friends that they're actually busier now in retirement than they were.
Well, part of the reason for that is it takes you longer to do stuff.
This is true. I'm not as old as you, but I started feeling it about 35, where I kind of stood up and be like, that didn't hurt yesterday.
So stuff like don't laugh, but I'm having my I just forgot the term now, but they come in and poke all the holes in your grass. Aerate. They're going to aerate my grass and seed it tomorrow morning. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I had to go out there and put flags on all my sprinkler heads, so they would aerate my sprinkler heads.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And the anxiety about thinking how long it's going to take to do it. You find out it only took you like 10 minutes.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just
because there's like 20 of them, and that's it.
Yeah. You're like, well, why was I worried about doing this?
Yeah.
Right. And it's just it's like every winter. I buff all my cars.
Sure.
Oh, you use my buffer?
I have.
Yeah.
I probably need to use it again. Yeah.
Yeah. So I buff all my cars every winter and put the ceramic coating on them so that they're ready for spring. And
nice, isn't it?
It is. And I did my daughter. My daughter's here from Virginia.
Yep.
And I did her car the other day. And in fact, we used her car for the Pepper Fest. I don't know if you know what Pepper Fest is in North Hudson, but it's this big Italian festival.
Oh.
So she drove.
You hate those Italian things.
You don't like Italian.
You hate Italian things.
Yeah. So we drove. So I was supposed to drive one of the court around in my black convertible.
Sure.
But my daughter was here, and her convertible is nicer than mine. She got a new Mustang convertible last year, so she did it. But I ceramic coated it, buffed it, and coated it. And she goes, "Dad, it rains out, and it doesn't look dirty."
Yep.
So she's pretty happy with.
So did I convert you to that?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
You started it.
Yeah.
You started that for me, and then what happened is, all of a sudden, all these cheap shit ceramics came out.
Yep.
They're not nearly as good.
Nope.
But the thing is, I can do them like 5 times because I buy my mother's detailer by the gallon.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to buy that ceramic detailer by the gallon because it works better.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a few in the beginning, and they weren't cheap. It was like $60, $100 for a little vial about yay big, and that would do one
or 2 cars,
1.5 maybe cars, depending on how liberal you were with it. And it should last 3 to 5 years depending on how you drive. And I know how you drive would probably last you a lifetime because you put like no miles in any of your cars. You polish them a lot, which hey, you should. But then, they started to become this big trend so you get these really crappy ones. So it's hard to find the right one. But there have been a few that I found that are pretty good.
Yeah, so I found one, made by a manufacturer that you buff on instead of rub on.
Okay.
It's not as good as the
No.
stuff.
This Sequartz is the stuff I
Yeah.
originally used.
And that's great. That's a great product.
You wipe it on, wait till it turns rainbowish, and
You
then
wipe it off.
Yep.
But I've started using some of these cheaper ones only because I probably put detail around my car every week,
Okay.
at least once a week.
Yeah.
So by using the cheap stuff, I get like my Corvette, my yellow Corvette.
Mhm.
I haven't washed that car since I moved here.
Yeah.
And I've been here 6 years just
Right.
because I don't get it dirty. It gets dusty, so I do go over it with detailer, and I'm happy.
I gotta tell you this story. In the beginning, because I don't think you and I had met yet, but you had moved to Hudson, and you had sent me a message via Facebook, and you had said, "Hey, I moved to Hudson. I know you're a car guy." And I'm like, oh, "Okay, who's this? Who is this guy? I don't know who this guy is." And you said, "Yeah, I've got a lift. Do you want to use it?" And I'm like, "Who's? Hey,
Yeah,
who?"
you were doing something.
Yeah, I was doing something. I'm like, "Hey, who the hell is this guy? I don't know. You and I haven't met yet. And why is he randomly offering his lift? That's not usual. Most people just don't offer things like that." And so I actually dismissed it because I thought you were a wacko
Well, you got to remember
for
though,
a long time.
but like you knew Randy Johnson, I know Randy Johnson.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
You knew Scott Parkhurst, I knew Scott
Also a good guy.
Parkhurst. We knew like 30 people
True.
in common.
Yes.
So it's like if we have all these people in common,
Yeah.
can't be a bad guy.
Right.
You know?
Well, hopefully I lived up to it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you drove a Viper then.
Well, nobody's perfect.
But it all worked out. I mean, that was a fun car for you. You enjoyed that car, I think.
Yeah, it was a very visceral car. And when you get underneath the kind of just bonkersness that was the exterior of the car, the Viper is a very serious car underneath.
Yeah.
When you get underneath, and this is late 90s, you're getting flat belly pans, a fully welded tube chassis, a very well distributed big engine that was pushed back really far, no shits given for the driver comfort whatsoever,
Right.
and a very well balanced car out of the box in the late 90s that was just as capable and had a much higher top speed than the Corvette at the time, right?
Also cost more.
It did cost more. It did, especially if you ever slightly bumped somebody with the front end of that thing and they would total the car. So I remember the original hoods were going for like 15 grand or some stupid number because it's the whole front end.
Yeah.
It's a whole one piece deal, which is why you saw so many that would have fiberglass liftoff ones or whatever, so they could keep the original because the original was so damn expensive.
Speaking of that car,
Yeah.
when I was still at Johnson Controls, we came out with a side terminal OPTIMA battery, and one of my responsibilities was making sure they fit Vipers.
Yeah.
So I had to go find.
Which is behind the driver's wheel or passenger's wheel. You had to pull the wheel off.
Some of them had it by the radiator too. I'm not sure what years.
I can tell you the Gen 2s were passenger side because it was meant to offset the driver
Right.
weight. It was a serious car. People think it's it was just made to be bonkers. No. They actually put some serious thought. So, funny battery story. You'll like this. I went into a race, just a local autocross, and they get in, they check your brakes, and they shake the car to make sure there's nothing loose or rattling or leaking. And then you have to show them your battery tie down, okay, to make sure the battery's not loose and it's not going to fall out of there. What was funny is the guy, I had the lift off hood, so I lift the hood off and I let him show everything. And he's like, "All right, where's the battery?" I said, it's back there. He's like, "All right, well, show me." And by this point, there's 50 cars in line and like 2 inspection guys for 130 cars. And I said, "Look, I don't know how to tell you this, but the battery, I'll have to jack it up, remove the wheel, remove the panel, and then you can see the battery." And the guy looks at me and goes, "If I have to pull a wheel off and a panel off, I don't give a shit. Just move along. The battery's fine. It's not coming out."
So back in 2004,
Yeah.
we had half of Chrysler's battery business for production.
Yep.
And I had just moved to Detroit, and my marching orders were to go get 100% of Chrysler's battery business.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So we got the business. So being the nice guy that I am, I sent So I had a couple engineers and a sales guy and stuff that worked for me in Detroit. I sent the sales guy to the minivan plant because when we launch them, you got to be there and make sure everything goes right.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
I sent one guy to the minivan plant. I sent another guy to the LX plant. I sent another guy to a pickup truck plant. And being the nice guy that I am,
Mhm.
I took the inner city plant that built the Vipers, and I personally went to the Viper plant just to make sure that those
Yes.
were being installed
Right.
properly. And I gotta tell you, it was pretty bitchin' cool. Because they had like 5 guys at a workstation building engines
Yep.
on one side of the line.
Yeah.
And then that day, they were building yellow ones with black stripes.
Oh, okay.
And they would park them all inside, because if you'd see where this plant was, you wouldn't park them outside. Right?
Sure. Yeah. Detroit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad part of Detroit.
Yeah.
A security guard walked into your car. I mean, that's...
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. You couldn't trust a security guard either, but that's another story. So I was in there, and it was kind of interesting to see how they built those cars, because they would build a whole car, put it on a chassis dyno,
Mhm.
then put the body on.
Really?
So the body was the last thing that got put on the car.
Really?
After it was built.
Huh. It's like a go-kart and then...
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
If 04 would have been the Gen 3.
This would have been 05.
Okay, still the Gen
Gen
3.
3.
Yeah, the Gen 2 was 98 to 2002.
Yeah, the Gen 1 is the one that had the battery in front of the radiator.
Yeah, that was, they a lot of changes happened from Gen 1 to 2,
Yeah.
and then even 2 to 3.
So I don't know how much time we got left here, but
As much as you want.
I got another Viper story. So
Okay.
So Cam Douglas calls me. He goes, "You anybody got Vipers around here?" And I go, "Well, I had just bought a new Lincoln LS,
Okay.
and the Lincoln dealer was also the Chrysler dealer, and it was
Really? Wasn't a Ford and Lincoln?
a Ford Lincoln, and then it was a Chrysler dealer next door.
Oh, next door. Oh, okay.
Same guy owned them.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Gotcha. Yep.
So Cam goes, "Do you know anybody's got any Vipers?" I go, "I don't know. I'll call the guy that just bought this car from this dealer.
Yeah.
I'll call him and ask him." So I call him and go, "You know where I can find these your Vipers?"
Like some more?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay.
Where I can find these your Vipers? He goes, "Well, you know, just forgot the fellow's name now." He goes, "He's got one of every year."
Oh,
I go, "Really?"
that's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah. He goes, Bernie Peck was his name.
Okay.
Bernie Peck.
Hmm.
Bernie Peck owned a packing company in Milwaukee that got sold to Hormel.
So he's doing all right?
Bernie was doing okay.
Yeah, he's doing fine.
So I talked to him. "You think Bernie will let us use the cars?
Yeah.
Fit these batteries?" He goes, "Oh yeah, no problem." He goes, "I got keys to his garage." I go, "Well, let me ask you this. Can we have our battery fitment guy go with your mechanic to his shop and make sure these batteries fit?" He goes, "Yeah." So we do all this stuff, right? And I go, "Well, I'd like to give Bernie's," he goes, "since Bernie's got a warehouse full of cars, how about if I give him a half a dozen batteries for his trouble for letting us use his cars?"
Yeah.
He goes, "Well, give Bernie a call."
Yeah.
I go, "Well, okay." He goes, "Well, Bernie's in Florida right now, so just call him in Florida." So I call Bernie and I get this, voicemail. He goes, "Yeah, this is Bernie. I'm here. I might not be here. I might call you back, but I probably won't."
At least he's honest. I appreciate the honesty.
And I'm like, this is interesting. So I leave Bernie a message, tell him I'm with Johnson Controls. I'd like to thank you for using the car, and I'd like to give you some free batteries for doing that.
Yeah.
He calls me back. He goes, "You want to give me something?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, You want to give me some batteries for free?"
Yeah.
I go, "Well, yeah, you let us use your cars, blah, blah, blah."
Yeah.
I didn't know who Bernie Peck was. I had no idea who Bernie Peck was.
Right.
Okay. So I go, "Yeah, I'll just give you some." So then Bernie starts talking about cars. Okay.
Yep.
And he goes, I go, you got some cool cars." He goes, "Oh yeah, me and my brother were into cars." He goes, "But I'm not real happy." He goes, "We sold our company and they kept us on as consultants. My brother got a Testarossa and I only got a 911 turbo." He goes, "That just wasn't fair." And he starts carrying on all this stuff, right? So I'm talking to Bernie. That guy,
funny.
no idea who this guy is, right?
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden, I get off the phone with Bernie and I call the guy at the dealer. I go, "This guy's funnier than shit." So Johnson Controls had this deal. If you bought Symphony tickets, you got a deal, right?
Okay.
So we're at the Symphony, and it's the Bernice and Bernard Peck lobby at the Symphony. We go to the zoo. It's the Bernard and Bernice Peck
Yeah.
Visitor Center.
Yep.
My dad was in the hospital at the Milwaukee Hospital. I go there.
Was there a Peck's wing of the hospital?
Peck wing of the hospital, right?
Yeah.
So Brad from West Bend Dyno was sponsoring some of these deals down at the Milwaukee Mile.
Mhm.
He was involved with some deals down there. We go down there. There's Bernie's brother's name is on the press center at the
geez.
Milwaukee Mile. And you're sitting there thinking,
Jeez. Yeah. This guy might be a guy.
this guy's a guy.
This is the guy.
So it's kind of interesting to see all the stuff that Bernie was into.
Really? Did you ever talk to him after that, or?
No.
No.
He died about 5 years ago or something.
Okay.
But because I remember seeing his obituary in the paper, but it was just a character.
Yeah. That is nuts. That and he's probably very suspicious.
He was that's probably
who are you? What do you want? Why are you bugging me?
It's like this guy that said somebody could use his lift. Why would he let me use his lift?
Yeah.
Why would this guy want to give me batteries?
Yeah, like, I don't know who the hell this guy is.
Yeah. People always call me wanting money. They don't call me wanting to give me something.
Yeah, what people always call me for is they want me to do work for them.
Yeah.
I have 3 emails right now with multi-year projects sitting in my email, and I'm going, how do I tell these people no? Because I'm busy. I'm a busy person, and the wood shop is a hobby. This is a hobby that has turned into a business because I'm apparently can saw a straight line, I guess. So
you do nice work.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
You take pride in what you do, and it's reflected in the product you put out.
I'm a believer in how you do the little things is how you do everything. And, I actually, you might see some of the remnants. I had somebody in here earlier today who had asked me to help modify a baby gate. So we busted some tools out. We modified the baby gate, and there was this part that was kind of hidden that needed to have a insert so that you could, from the outside, put a screw through it, and then have the insert. It's one of those nutserts where you stick them in, but it's a screw type, and then you can stick a bolt through it. So it's hidden. It's a hidden screw attached to the back, and I made it out of oak, and I sanded it, and it was hidden. He's like, Eric, nobody's gonna see this. And he goes like, if you want to, put your brand logo, because I got my brand logo up there, and he's like, if you want to brand it, you can put your brand on this. And I was like, no, nobody's going to see it, but I know it's there, and I know it's there. You know it's there. There's this. I have this saying that when you're stuck and you've got a problem in front of you, when you're doing work for yourself, it's easy to say, I can live with 80% complete, right? But the answer is much easier actually when you are dealing with a customer's project, because the answer is always do it right.
Yeah.
With it's myself, I'm like, I can live with 85% perfection and it'll be okay. And, it'll still be heads and tails above what most people do, and I'll feel fine about it. But when it's for a customer, the answer is the easiest answer in the world.
Yep.
The right way every time, and that's kind of the way I've done things around here. So I did have I do remember a funny battery story anecdote. Anyway, you did tell me about where and I won't say the brand unless you want to. You can if you want, but that the battery hold downs and tie downs on a very specific car were designed so that the people on your manufacturing line couldn't screw it up.
Poke-yoke.
What's that?
Poke-yoke. It's called poke-yoke.
What's that?
Poke-yoke is so you can't screw it up.
Okay.
So you can only put it in one way.
Right.
Okay.
I've not heard that term.
Poke-yoke?
No.
Real common in the car business.
Okay.
Really common. So if you look at a GM product, most GM products, if you look at the bolt that holds the battery terminal on, the nut is on the horizon, right?
Okay.
It's not on the side. The nut's on the top.
Yep.
The reason it's on the top is so that to make it easy for them to assemble it on the assembly line.
And they can't screw it up.
They can't screw it up. If you go look at a new Mustang, on the battery cable there's these plastic little triangle things so that the battery cable is put on that top of that battery at a specific angle.
Yeah.
And nobody can put it on any other way because it won't fit.
Right.
So that's a pretty poke-yoke is big in the car business.
It's funny you mentioned that to me when you did, because I started looking at things in a much different way. Because it's very easy at this point. Like I did a headlight on my Malibu, like 2010, 11 Malibu, something like that. And to change a headlight is a front bumper removal. The whole bumper has to come off. It is absolutely asinine why I can't just reach my hand underneath where the grill is and just change the damn bulb. But no, you have to do it that way. And I started looking at things differently since you told me that specific battery story, because I now factor in engineering that term, poka-yoke. Poka-yoke. Never heard that. I learn something every day. And now I look at engineering in a totally different way now, where you design things not only to function, to look good. You sometimes build them to be repaired, sometimes, but then there's the other part of the manufacturing process, which is your design has to change based on how you can put it together. And I had honestly, for the longest time, had not factored that in.
Well, a perfect example is, so you know that yacht I have that we take out on Lake Malibu, that big boat I have, the blue and white one that I've posted pictures on Facebook of?
Yeah.
Pedal it with your feet?
Yeah, it's a majestic craft.
My wife wanted a river cruise. I bought her a boat. She can go to the river whenever she wants with it.
She just has to power it herself. She brings a snack. That's the fuel.
That's it. So we load it up in the back of the truck. We take it. So we got at the end of our street one way is the river. At the end of the street the other way is the lake, right? Mm-hmm. So we throw the boat in the back of the truck and we take it to the lake. Well, I tore the rubber grommet out that the tailgate shuts to on the top of the tailgate.
Yeah.
Well, there's a right and a left.
Oh.
And to make sure you don't put a right on the left-hand side and a left-hand one on the right-hand side, they put the rivet, the plastic rivet, in a different spot. So if you try to put the right on the left and the left on the right, it won't fit.
Huh. So it's not universal.
No, because of the way it fits in a contour. But it goes back to somebody can't make a mistake on the assembly line. Okay? Because I remember I was in the 80s when I was looking to buy a minivan, because we had two little kids. There was a Chevy Astro van that had a GMC dashboard in it.
Really?
Yeah. It had the GMC Safari.
From the factory or
from
somebody?
It was on the dealership, a brand new truck.
Really?
Sitting at the dealership in McKinney, Texas, a brand new minivan. It had a GMC logo dashboard.
Safari in an Astro.
In an Astro van.
Yeah. How did that even work? How did that even work?
Same truck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for the longest time, is that they would fit the GMCs, the
Chevys were basically exactly the same. Changed the grill a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. They're basically the same truck.
Now the sheet metal is all different.
Yeah, but they're the same truck underneath.
Right.
And I can't tell you how many times I've had to explain to people when they say, "Oh, I have a Pontiac Bonneville," and I was like, "There's an Impala right next to it." And I said, "Yeah, my Impala is the same." And he's like, "No, it's not." I go, "Right. It's the same car underneath." "No, it's not. It's a Pontiac." Okay, let me explain. And then we get into this big argument, and it always turns into a thing.
Platforms are always fun to discuss.
Yeah.
People don't understand platforms.
No. And I'll tell you why I picked Chevrolet as everybody kind of in the car world, everybody has factions they like, right? It's things that they, for whatever reason, it might be, it looks cool. Their uncle had one. The coolest dude in school had one driving in school or whatever. And for me, it was Chevrolets, only because my history in the car world has taught me everything breaks. What happens when it breaks? You have to fix it. So how much time does it take to get parts? Where does it find parts? And how much does it cost to fix parts? You look at Dodge and Fiat and all those Daimler, all those deals that they did. I mean, it's impossible sometimes to find parts that fit correctly.
Yep.
Honda will often have mid-year changes.
Like Ford.
But like wholesale mid-year changes. Like entire new distribution blocks or entire different ignition systems mid-year, not tell anybody, and there's no way to easily discern, right? And then Ford was a little bit better because they use the same platform in a lot of different things. So I settled on Chevrolet just because when they find something that works, they don't let it go. I can't tell you how many brake calipers on how many different vehicles, like the S10 had a brake caliper that fit 15 other cars for 20 years.
For the car people out there, they probably remember D52 disc brake pads.
Oh, yes. D52. Yes.
D52 disc brake pads fit like 20 years of GM products.
That takes me back because I worked at a auto parts store for many years. And parts readily available. And if there's a lot of them, they're going to be cheap. They're going to be plentiful. And you can go down to the local store and you're probably going to find a clutch for a Corvette or a brake pads for a Malibu or your Silverado 1500.
Yeah. Well, what Tim does now is when they get to about 7 years old or 6 years old and about 70,000 miles, he trades them in.
Yeah, because, you're on a fixed income.
I'm on a fixed income.
You can't afford to have a breakdown, Tim.
Exactly.
You cannot
afford to have a breakdown.
In the middle of the road, AAA is way too much, so it's probably just cheaper if you just go buy a new one.
Exactly.
Yeah, you should just go buy a new one.
That's exactly the story.
And my grandfather did the same thing when he retired.
Yeah, you just sit there and you say, but now Tim's philosophy is changing.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It's changing. So now, we got my wife's car, I think, last year. So we keep it like we keep it roughly 6 years, right?
Yeah.
And or maybe 8, depending on how many miles she drives. But now it's going to be tough to buy a gas-powered vehicle.
It is.
So if you try to get rid of a 75-inch TV,
I've never tried to. No.
Wait till you try to.
Okay.
You're going to pay like $150 to get rid of this 75-inch TV.
Really?
Yeah, you're going to pay good money to get rid of a TV.
Nobody wants it, or?
Well, because they charge you a fee now to get them back. You can't put them in the garbage.
Well,
you got to take them to a recycler, and a recycler is going to charge you about $150 to get rid of a 75-inch TV.
Huh.
So if it's going to cost you $150 to get rid of a 75-inch TV. How much is it going to cost you to get rid of your lithium-ion car battery?
This is a legit question. Do they have a process currently for disposing disposing of lithium batteries?
Right now, what they're doing on most of them now is you give them an old one, you give them your old one, they give you a rebuild one back. So they're taking cells out of multiples, and fixing them.
I got a friend who does that.
Yeah, so that's what's going on now. But as time goes on, well, let's be real, they over-engineer it when it's new, right? To make sure that it covers their warranty.
Sure.
But once they got enough warranty data, they're going to start cutting the living shit out of the quality of them.
Yeah.
To take cost out.
So I've seen a lot of debate online. And since you're the battery guy, you're my battery guy.
I'm retired.
Well, you know more than I do. And I try to always listen to my elders. Here we go, right? Yeah. Is that people are saying, and people, that's a lie, that's not true, that whatever, that the cells in the new either the Volt, which is a hybrid, or even the fully electric vehicles are going to be multi-$1,000s. I mean, I can't imagine something the size of this table being anything less than.
Well, yeah, that's what it's turning out to be. But who knows what's going to happen long term, right? Nobody knows. I mean, I don't see. Well, the big problem is where you're going to get all electricity to charge the batteries with, because the battery only stores energy; it doesn't create energy.
Right.
So where are they going to get all the energy to charge these batteries to begin with?
That concerns me. Look at Texas when they had a cold day, where they had snow for all of 2 days. I'm joking, kidding. Texas, it was about a week, but it was cold enough where everybody turned their heaters on, which had probably never been started up in probably a decade, and it shut down their system.
Yeah, or California, that's telling you not to charge your electric car.
I did see that.
That's happened as well. So I don't know. But here you may have seen my sarcastic Facebook post the other day on this.
I have never seen you be sarcastic one time in my life. Period. And in this moment included.
Yeah. So here we are. So China is opening coal-fired power plants every day, right? A new one every day.
Are they? Really?
That's what they claim.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
According to the Wall Street Journal,
they're
opening coal-fired power plants every day so that they can make green energy for the U.S., who is in turn closing coal-powered power plants.
We're exporting it. We're exporting our coal plants to them.
Yeah. And somehow this all makes sense.
Sure.
But I'm not convinced that where we're at today is where we're going to be.
Probably
I
not.
think there's going to be some dramatic breakthrough.
You think so?
I don't know what it is.
Yeah. I'm not sure what it is either, but I can see the future as being electric or some version of. I always thought natural gas, not natural gas. What was the other one?
Hydrogen?
Hydrogen
I agree with you.
seems to be, at least on paper, but then again, it's that old, beta versus, VHS debate. HD versus Blu-ray, whatever. It's the competing technology. Whatever one's going to win. On paper, hydrogen looked better.
Yeah, but the government picks winners and losers.
They do.
The government's picked electric as the winner.
Yeah.
So, some of these people are like, well, if we get a change in leadership in our government, well, they can reverse all these fuel mileage requirements. And people
They're not going to.
You just can't flip a switch.
No, it doesn't work that way.
I mean, it takes like 8 years, 10 years to develop a car. You just don't flip a switch and say, well, mileage is up to, instead of it being 32-mile cafe, it's now 18. It just doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way. And I will tell you, there's a perfect example of this. I'm driving my Corvette. I slowly pull away from a light because, most Corvette owners are retired, never drive their car, and just stare at it and polish it, right? And which is why my insurance is so cheap. So believe it, when we do drive it, we want to be very careful with it so that we don't, so we can go make it back and polish it again.
Yeah.
So I'm pulling away slowly from this light, and I don't know if yours does it, but mine has in the DIC, it comes up and it says, shift 1 to 4 for fuel economy savings.
I disabled that.
On the new ones, you can't. You just overpower it. You don't. But when you go to shift from first to fourth, it directs you to fourth. But if you have enough wherewithal, you can hold it to the left and pull straight down to second. And my wife had asked me why I had done that, why I had fought it and pushed it back into second. She says, "What are you doing?" I said, "For General Motors to get the mileage that they could say to the EPA, they created this system that I go from 1 to 4 and save 1/10 of a mile per gallon."
Well, there's a lot of people who remain anonymous.
Yep.
Car companies they work for.
Yep.
They tell me that start-stop in the real world makes zero difference in fuel mileage.
Probably
makes not a big difference, but makes a difference in the EPA fuel mileage.
Yeah.
Run.
Well, and there have been a lot of advances in the fuel mileage bit, right? And a lot of that stuff has been really good. I love that my truck gets 23 miles to the gallon. That's great. It's fantastic. Better when it was 8, whatever, back in the 80s. Fantastic. I have some friends who are up in the towers in Detroit, and they've told me, who are engineers, and they've told me that but what pisses them off the most is that the general consensus, at least from the government, is that they're just not trying hard enough to get the mileage out of this thing. And it goes, at a certain point, you've done what you can do. There's only so much energy per joule or per specific mass of fuel that you can get out of a drop of gasoline.
Yeah.
It's only so much.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much energy that can be produced.
Yeah,
right.
They're just not putting their back into it.
Yeah. Well, I just discovered the other day that my pickup truck has 16 fuel injectors.
Yeah, I could see that.
I didn't know that.
Uh-huh.
My Mustang only has 8.
Yeah.
My Mustang's a 5.0.
Yep.
It's got 8 injectors. My truck is a 5.0. Same.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at them on the outside, they look exactly the same.
Sure.
But in 18 or 19, Ford put direct injection and conventional injection on the same engine.
Why did they do that?
Well, that's a good question. So on direct injected engines, one of the big problems with direct injected engines
They carbon up.
is they carbon up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a huge deal. When I had my R8. That was like a $3,000 service to get the carbon removed.
Well, if you have injectors in the intake manifold,
Yeah.
they don't carbon up.
It doesn't carbon up, yeah, because that's how it works.
Right.
Yeah.
So when Ford did their Gen 3 Coyote,
Mhm.
they put injectors in the intake manifold and direct injected.
Okay.
So it's got both to keep the intake valves clean.
Right. You get the benefit of the direct port, but then the cleanliness of the
Yeah.
conventional
Yeah.
injection motor.
So there's, and some companies, I think BMW puts one injector in the intake manifold that sprays fuel. It might be Toyota. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
One of them, they put one injector in the intake manifold just to spray fuel to keep the intake valves clean.
Yeah.
So
It's one way to take care of the problem.
yeah. So it's just interesting seeing the changes in technology, and who would have thought when you had a 200 horsepower Corvette in 1977
Oh, good Lord.
that in 20 whatever year we were at,
Yep.
2022,
Yep, that's the year.
that you could have a 5-liter engine with 500 horsepower.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
100 horsepower a liter.
Yeah.
And it's reliable.
Yeah.
And gets 30 miles a gallon.
And you take it to the racetrack.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can beat the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable to me.
Yeah, I had heard a story of Cosworth, a deal that Cosworth had done with General Motors. And Cosworth is famous for having insane turbo fours, right? But they wouldn't last very long. They'd last maybe a race or two or whatever. And that they were pissed off at General Motors because General Motors testing at the time was you had to run whatever new engine, because they were going to put this in a production car. They had to run the engine on the dyno for 200 straight hours near redline. Not at redline, but in brief occasional periods into redline, come back down to say 4,500 and then rev it up to $7,000 or whatever. But for 200 straight hours, that was their testing, and that Cosworth couldn't do it. Their motors couldn't take it.
Well, wait till you see the oil in your new cars.
Really?
Stuff's like water.
Is it? Oh, are they doing like zero weight stuff?
Well, there's already zeros, but like I think your truck takes 0.20, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
And my wife's Buick as well.
Yeah. So what they're going to now is a 0.16 and a
Jeez.
0.10.
And that's for fuel economy,
Really,
right?
really. But if you think about what's happened in the last 50 years, right? The machining tolerances are better. The assembly tolerances, everything is put together so much better. I mean, if you got 100,000 miles out of an engine 30 years or 40 years ago, that was a miracle.
Yeah.
Today,
that's nothing.
It's nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
People keep them 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 miles.
Yeah. It's been great, and not only that, but the advancements in sealing too. So the gaskets built into the part, say for the valve cover, they've got a little recess. You put the little O-ring on it, and you stick it on there. So there's the sealing too has been phenomenally better.
Yeah.
A lot less oil leaks.
So my wife told me I can't have a new Corvette unless I sell a car. So I figured, well,
you got the black Mustang.
I know. So I was
That's easy to sell.
I know. So I thought about taking my yellow Corvette and making it all stock again.
Okay.
So I built a new LS motor for it.
Okay.
And when you see the way all the gaskets on an LS are,
oh, it's great.
Yeah, you can see why they don't leak.
Yeah, they don't leak. They don't ever leak. And if they do, something's really, really wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
why would you put that car? So you've got those who are not familiar. You have is it 06?
I got 06.
06 yellow, and it was before you have told me you were very impatient, so you had to have one.
Well,
the C6, right?
C6. So I wrote my daughter's last college tuition check.
Okay. Which is nice of you.
Which is nice, yeah. So I wrote my daughter's last college tuition check.
It's really impressive on a Social Security.
Well, I was still working.
Okay, sorry.
And I went and ordered a new Corvette.
Yeah.
To celebrate.
Yeah. This is the C6 we're out.
It's the C6. And I wanted a yellow one.
Had the Z's come out yet? The 06s?
So here's the interesting part.
Yeah.
So I ordered this new Corvette. I only got 2 options.
Mm-hmm.
Z51 and yellow paint. Only 2 options I got.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's not as fun.
I had a budget. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
I had a budget.
Okay. Yeah, because you're on a budget.
I had a budget. So I ordered this car, and I bought it from. I was living in Detroit, and I bought it from a Chevy dealer, which interestingly enough is where they used to film the Chevy car commercials when they were at dealerships.
Really? Okay.
El Serra Chevrolet.
Interesting.
In Grand Blanc.
Huh.
So I go up there, I buy the car. I order it in August. Comes in just in time for my birthday in September.
Mm-hmm.
My wife drives me up there to get the car. She heads home. I'm driving home. Z51 has an engine oil cooler.
Okay.
Well, the UAW person marked that he checked to make sure that oil line was on. but it wasn't on.
Uh-oh.
So the oil line fell off.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
Okay?
Yeah.
You know what happens when the oil cooler line comes off?
There's no oil in the car.
There's no oil in the car.
I got that one right.
So all the oil comes out of the car.
Oh, God.
So as soon as I see something wrong, I
Oh.
pull over, right?
Yeah.
So I call GM. I'm driving home from the dealership I just bought the car.
Brand new.
Brand new.
Okay. Not used.
Not used. Brand spanking
No
new.
CPI, nothing. Okay.
20 miles on it. I only driven 20 miles from the dealer. Oil line comes off.
Mm.
I sat there for like 3 hours. GM roadside assistant still hadn't showed up. I called Domino's. They brought me a pizza.
Oh, that's nice of them.
That was nice of them, right?
Yeah.
Finally, I just said, fuck this. I had my wife come get me, and I went home, and I called the dealer and said, here's where the car is.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll still be there in the morning.
Okay.
So they went and got the car, brought it back, blah, 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 blah. Okay. But what happened in the meantime is that oil leaked out, and it soaked the engine compartment with oil, so it got in the wiring harness.
Oh, no.
Caused a big mess, right?
Yeah. Was it spraying on the
Oh,
engine?
it sprayed everywhere.
Oh,
I didn't know that at the time. Right?
Yeah.
So they bring the car back. They give me the car back. I go, this ain't going to end well. I tell the dealer,
Yeah.
this ain't going to end well.
Yeah.
Right? So then it gets towed in again. And then it gets towed in again. I'm like, so GM goes, we're going to double your factory warranty if you'll keep this car. I go, great, you can double my factory warranty, but you're going to end up owning it.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, you've started the lemon law process.
I didn't have to.
Oh, okay.
I didn't have to.
Okay.
So then just to add insult to injury, my wife wanted me to buy a Mustang.
Okay.
I didn't want a Mustang. I wanted a Corvette.
Yeah. Because they're cool.
Yeah. So a friend of mine, Andy Bellis, was an engineer at Ford. We were meeting him for lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And my Corvette was stranded in the church parking lot after Mass on Sunday. And Andy had to come pick us up to go meet for lunch.
Oh, that's not embarrassing.
No. And my wife's busting my balls. I told you to buy a Mustang. I told you to buy a Mustang. As Andy picks us up in his Mustang.
Yeah.
Okay,
That has 4 seats.
Yeah.
Well,
So now
2.5.
So now GM, so I get a call from Al Sarah. They're buying the car back. That took long enough.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. They go, here's the deal. We will trade you title for title. So you get any GM car you want. Not title, excuse me. Window sticker for window sticker.
Okay. Yeah.
So if the window sticker on your car is 50,000, you want to buy one that's 40,000, we'll give you 10 grand back.
All right.
If you want to buy one that's 60,000,
You pay 10.
you pay 10.
Got it.
Okay?
Yep.
So my wife's like, I got a great wife. I cannot say enough good things about my wife. I have a wonderful wife.
She sounds great. I met her, and she seems like a very lovely person.
Great woman.
Yeah.
So my wife goes, so then Z06s were going for like 20 grand over window sticker.
Oh, okay.
I could have got a Z06
Mhm.
at window sticker, just paid the gap between, I bought my car at invoice,
Yep.
but I would pay window sticker to window sticker. So in essence, I would get like 25 grand off market value of the Z06,
There you go.
but I couldn't pay cash for that.
Oh, okay.
So Tim's like, nope, if I can't pay for it, I don't need it, right?
Okay.
So I didn't do it, which in hindsight, I should have done it.
Sure.
So then the dealer orders me a new car,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Car comes in the day after Christmas. Okay.
Because September to Christmas, so it's a long time.
Yeah.
4 months. Yeah.
Yeah. Car comes in the day after Christmas. But so now it came at the dealership by my house, not the dealership I bought it at.
Okay.
So there's this place called the Library, which is a bar. And
I've heard of it. I've never been there, but
in Novi. It's
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
We would go there every Sunday after church, and we would have.
Yeah. So you can tell your parents you're going to the library.
Yeah. Well, they had 2-for-1 burgers on Sundays.
Oh, okay.
So we go there and we watch the NASCAR race. So a Chevy dealer was right across the street.
Mhm.
Well, I had bought different wheels for my car. So the dealer said, we'll just trade those wheels out for you. So they changed the wheels out for me. My car sat there for 3 months because GM said, we aren't paying the sales tax on that car. Now, if you're in Wisconsin or Minnesota, I think is the same way.
Yeah.
If you got a $40,000 car,
Yep.
trade in a $20,000 car, you pay sales tax on
20 grand.
Michigan.
The difference.
Michigan you pay sales tax on the whole car.
Oh, got it.
Well, GM outsources they outsource their buybacks to a third-party company that didn't know the law.
Ah,
So the dealer says, I'm not giving you the car.
Yeah.
Because they won't pay me with it. It's, so they fought for 3 months. So then finally I get my car. But here's the bad part.
now it's March.
Now it's March, which that was fine.
Okay.
I mean, because
Yeah, you're not going to drive in
we
Wisconsin.
could drive it in February. Well, I was in Michigan.
Oh, you're going to drive in Michigan anyway.
But since I owned the car, since
Yeah.
I didn't finance the car, I had to insure the old car.
Oh, okay.
Because technically I still owned the old car
Yeah.
until the new car came in.
Yeah.
So I took GM to the small claims court.
Yeah.
And do you remember the Corvette ad with the kid sitting on the park bench dreaming about the day he got his new Corvette?
Yeah, I vaguely
They
remember.
banned that ad.
They did?
They banned the ad.
I didn't know that.
Because it was encouraging kids to speed. And
Oh, gee,
I drive safe. So I go to court.
Okay.
So I go to court, and the GM guy's on that side of the table, and I'm on this side of the table, and the mediator's in between. And the GM says, "We want to settle this."
Yeah.
Well, they didn't want to give me my double warranty on the new car.
Yep.
They didn't want to do all this shit, right? So I took them to court, right? It cost me $50.
Sure.
So I took them to court. So I start my story out. I go, you know the dream of a little kid sitting on the bench, dreaming of the day that he gets his new Corvette. I go, that was mine.
Yeah.
I was that kid. I dreamed of a new Corvette since I was in second grade. And I finally get my new Corvette, and it turns into a nightmare.
Yeah, the pile of junk.
And I went through all the things wrong with it.
Oh yeah, months of paperwork, I'm sure.
Yeah, I won.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won. It all worked out. So, but that was, but the second car I didn't really have any trouble because I broke the motor at Road America, but that wasn't GM's fault. That was my fault.
Why was that your fault?
Well, we put an LS3 top on an LS2.
Okay. Do those interchange? They must.
Yeah.
They must interchange. Okay. 'Cause I know some like the LS6s don't interchange. There are a few of the LS variants that don't interchange.
You couldn't put LS3 heads on an LS1.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
Or an LS6 either.
Yeah. So the 6 was the oddball, and the
Six
one
and
the one in the 6, but the 2, 3.
All that shit interchanges.
Yeah, and then it gets really weird in the 7s and 9s.
Yeah, that was beyond my.
Yeah.
So when we did that, it was relatively new. So we had the ComCam trunnion deals for the rockers.
Yep.
Well, we used the bolts that came with the trunnions. Well, on an LS3, the rockers were offset.
Okay.
And the bolts that hold those offset rockers on are shorter.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't know that.
You ran them down too far.
Didn't run them down. Well,
or not far enough.
Not far enough because you couldn't run them down far enough. And we thought they were down because you torque them and they get down to where they need to be.
Yeah, they torque, yeah.
And you think you're done. Well, they weren't. So what happened is I actually broke a rocker arm stud at Road America. So when I broke the rocker arm stud, Wagner Engines, who built the engine in my car, goes, just send us a home order.
Yeah.
Don't take it apart. Just send us to home order. Well, it was a stock bottom end with the LS3 top end.
Mm-hmm.
So I sent it to him. They go, well, it's just a fucking rocker arm stud.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, it's already out.
Yeah.
So I got a forged, LS3 stroker 416.
Yeah.
With all the good shit in it, and never broke again.
Yeah, that's the motor that's in it now.
That's the motor that's in it now.
Yeah, but you've done a lot of stuff because it's a Z51, right?
It's a Z51, but it's got a 416.
Yeah, and
all forged bottom end, all that crap in it. It's got coilovers. It's got LG coilovers.
You got seats and a bunch of other.
I took the seats back out.
Okay.
I had carbon fiber with Carlos seats. I took those out because I couldn't get it on the car.
Yeah.
But then I had all the seats redone with Alcantara. Had the Corvette logo embroidered in them and all that crap. I did all the door panels in leather.
Yeah.
I redid, and I put coilovers on it. I put the big brakes on it and all that kind of crap. Because the Z06 brakes were fucking junk. Those Z06 brakes were fucking junk.
Yeah. That's why I had the carbons.
Yeah. So what happened is the guy that was chief engineer on the C6 got into a pissing contest with Brembo about something. That's why he put those junk brakes on.
Oh, yeah.
Then after the C6 launched and the Z06 launched, he retired. And the guy that took over then put Brembos on the carbon edition.
Yeah.
So the carbon had the good brakes.
Yeah, those are good brakes.
Yeah.
So I believe it or not, my car was not a carbon.
Oh, was it?
No.
Oh, I thought it was for some reason.
No, I had a very oddball one because the carbons was an 2011 only, and they only made 200 of them. Let's say. Mine was the next year. Mine was a Centennial, and they made 1,000 of those, but a few of them were ZR1s. There were only 60 Centennials that were made with carbon brakes.
Oh.
So yeah, with that particular 3LZ, the every option except the ZR1 option. There were more ZR1s that were Centennials than the one that I had purchased.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a very oddball sort of deal. And I know every Corvette's a special edition. I know Chevrolet loves their special editions, and like there's 1,000 rare Corvettes now, and blah blah blah. I get it.
Here's the world according to Tim.
But it's cool.
Here's the world according to Tim.
Yeah.
Okay. If you buy a first-year model car, you're a test driver.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Second year, they fixed all the stuff that was wrong from the first year.
Yep.
Third year, they take cost out from the first 2 years.
Yep, profit.
Next year, they do a refresh,
Mhm.
right? And fix all the cost reductions that they did before.
Yep.
Right? then the next year, they come up with all these special editions, right?
Yep.
Where they mix and match parts, right? Like that's when the Grand Sport came out
Oh, yeah.
with the Z06
Yep.
fenders, right? Then they come out with the real special editions when they're emptying the parts bins
The ZR1s.
to
Yeah.
figure out what, So the Corvette actually, the C6 actually lasted longer than it was supposed to.
Yeah, because it went from what, 06 to, or 05?
13. 05
To 13. Yeah, to 13. I had a 12. You have a 6. And you're right, because if you look at the lifespan of the typical Corvette, at least the last two, probably the C4, 5, 6, and 7 follow that same pattern. They have a new one that comes out. It's new, but it's not special.
Right.
Wait 2 or 3 years, and then the Z06 will come out.
Like 06, the Z06 came out.
Yep, just now. 06, right? So it was out for a year, and then they depending on when they want to bless us with the new thing that they've been working on, and they already have packaged and ready to go. Mm-hmm. And then at the very end, you get the ZR1 at the very tail end of that body, whatever. And I like to think they do that because they are like rewarding people for waiting, or they're like, they don't want to play all their cards right away in the very beginning. So like if in 05 they came out with the ZR1, well, who the hell would buy the base model?
Right.
Nobody would buy the base model. That would be stupid because you can't buy the best one. The best one's over here. Go buy that one.
And they're trying to keep people enthused about the brand.
Yeah.
Right. So you got to keep coming with new.
The next year's the best one ever.
Right. So like Ford did, like on the Mustang, first the S550 came out in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
The GT350 didn't come out until 2016.
Yeah.
Okay. Then they made it 16. I can't remember. They made it for like 4 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then they came out with the GT500, but they discontinued the GT350.
Okay.
So that way you had another progression.
Yeah, you had to keep chasing the newest, and it's slightly better than the last one. And you don't come out with the full Monty right away. Yeah.
Yeah. Now my Ford dealer got 2 GT500s, and they were all we're going to sell them to local customers.
Yeah, sure.
Instead of brokers.
Uh-huh.
And we're going to sell them at window sticker just because it's nice to make a bunch of money at a one-time bunch of money.
Right.
But people remember that they got screwed on the car.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to sell them to local customers. They go, I'll take one.
Yeah.
Well, then they change the subject. So what ended up happening is there was a big builder in the area that buys all his trucks from him.
Mm-hmm.
Chevy and Ford trucks from that dealership.
So he probably got priority.
He got one.
Yep.
And electrical contractor that buys all his trucks from him got the other one, which is fine. I can respect that.
Yeah. You spend a lot of money there. I mean, you're going to get preferential treatment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. I don't. To be honest with you, I kind of lost interest in a lot of that stuff anymore. Now I got 3 fun cars to drive.
Yeah. And you have Tim's Garage.
Tim's Garage.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which is funny because people online who don't know what Tim's Garage is think you're an actual like repair place and not just your little corner of the world.
You know what's really funny is that so at our car condo we have car wash, right?
Yeah.
So I go down and I wash the car in the car wash, and I bring it back to my garage.
Yep.
Right. So a lot of times I'm out there buffing the car off, right? Because if you run your hand over it, it doesn't feel real smooth.
Yeah, clay bar edge or whatever.
Bar, buff it, whatever you need to do, right?
Yep.
I cannot tell you the people that don't know me there. They come over and go, "Hey, how much you charge for detailing cars?" I don't detail cars.
No, the answer is no.
Yeah, I don't do that. I don't do that. But it's fun, right?
Yeah.
You know.
My wife gets you've met my wife a number of times, and so once a year, this is what I do. Once a year, my wife, I have a crash cart full of all my tools and supplies. I still have not yet to buy a buffer. I know you look around and I don't have a buffer of all things, right? But she every year, one time a year, gets like the ultimate car detail, right? Outside is washed, underneath is power sprayed. The wheels are polished and buffed. The interior gets everything taken out. In some cases, I have taken seats out to vacuum underneath. I will shampoo every carpet. I will condition every leather piece that's available. And you glide off of the seats. They're so well, supple from the lanolin that comes in the cleaner conditioner. And how long do you think that lasts every year? You can time it to your watch. She's like, oh, this is amazing. And then 15 minutes later, I'm like, where did all this crap come from?
Yeah. Well, my youngest daughter, she's got a minivan. Hates it.
Really?
Not because it doesn't work and not because it doesn't do what she needs to do. She just the stigma of owning a minivan, right?
Does she have kids?
3 kids.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, well.
She had 3 kids under 4.
Well, that's kind of practical then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you know Woodbury very well, but
I
you know
do.
where the Super Target is in Woodbury on
I do.
Woodbury Drive?
I do.
Where that car wash in front there?
Yeah.
Every quarter she goes there and spends $200
Ooh.
having her car done.
Yikes. Yeah, well, yeah. I had a thing with my kids. If you leave it in my car or my truck, it's going to get sucked up by the vacuum, and I will not feel bad. So take everything with you. And I have yet to have a problem with, and they're older now, so it's not a factor. But when they were younger, that threat of it will get sucked up by the vacuum and you will never see it again. Never had a problem. There, very few crumbs, no G.I. Joes or Legos anywhere, no, nothing. It was great.
My wife had this brain fart that we ought to have a foreign exchange student once.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
How'd that go?
Well, it was interesting.
I have a feeling you've already done it.
So I wanted a 16-year-old girl from Brazil.
Of course.
My wife wanted a 16-year-old boy from Germany. We
Okay.
had a 16-year-old boy from Germany.
Well, yeah, you compromised and ended with
My
that.
wife told me. Taco Bell and Pop-Tarts.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
How much did the kid weigh when he left?
He was like 6'6". I mean, the kid was huge.
Yeah.
He wasn't fat, though. He wasn't, I mean.
Well, Taco Bell and Pop-Tarts every day.
And he went to go eat in my wife's car one day.
Uh-oh.
She goes, you don't eat in Tim's car.
Yeah.
What do you mean you don't eat in Tim's car? You don't eat in his car.
Yeah.
And he didn't quite understand that.
Uh-huh.
Why can't I eat in Tim's car? Well, because you don't eat in Tim's cars.
Yeah.
You know? So that was a few years ago. We did that, and that was before we moved to Detroit, I think. I can't remember. It was in the early 2000s sometime.
I'm gonna push that back just a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're fine. Just make sure you're covered there.
Yeah. So it was fun. I've had a fun life. I've got no regrets.
Yeah.
You know.
So you dedicated most of your life to battery stuff, right? And now you're working with the kids at the elementary school. Do you have like a favorite, good or bad? I mean, we could do one of each. One like great one, and then one that just bombed miserably. But I'm curious to know, like what's the thing you're probably going to remember the most, and like probably what was like the one you're going to remember for being the worst experience
Of all time?
Yeah.
Well, I had a kid get cancer.
Okay, that's pretty bad.
That's the worst.
Top of the list. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the worst. Fortunately, everything turned out okay.
Oh, okay. Well,
But that was my all-time worst. And my best.
but they survived and.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
she's doing great.
So the story has a good ending.
And she drives a Mustang convertible. You know.
Okay, well, so it didn't turn out perfect,
Yeah,
but you know,
but she enjoys it.
she's like,
So, and that was probably the lowest, but what's the best?
yeah,
I gotta tell you, when I retired, my wife and I, you know how people say, when I retire, I'm gonna start traveling when I retire.
sure,
Well, when I retired the first time again in 2013. 2014, I think we went to Germany and Italy. 2014, we went some. I mean, once our kids were gone,
Mhm.
I mean, my wife wanted to go to Paris one day for a birthday. We went to Paris for a birthday.
nice,
We went to Le Mans one year for the 24 for scrutineering and stuff at the 20.
Mhm,
We went down there. I mean, so having a great wife that may not share your passion, but enjoys doing things together. You know what I mean? Because I got a friend that you met. You helped him with an engine out of his Dodge truck. Remember that guy?
I do, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, remember that guy?
Right. Got more money than God, right?
Yeah.
But him and his wife do nothing together unless she makes them.
Oh, yeah,
You know what I mean? He goes to car shows, she won't go.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, just that I've got the high is that I got a wife that enjoys going to do things.
Mhm.
We do a lot of Mustang Club events.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, it's just, we had a Porsche.
Yep.
I had a Porsche. I belonged to the Porsche Club, bunch of assholes. Sorry if anybody didn't have a Porsche.
I'm sure
But
they're
the
not.
Porsche Club guys were all a bunch of assholes, right?
Yeah.
The Corvette Club I just didn't feel comfortable with. But the Mustang group is just a different group.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you what it is. It's,
Once you get through the vape smoke, it's not too bad.
they're all old though.
Just kidding.
Most of the Corvette guys or Mustang guys are like 50 and up.
Yep.
A lot of them are like, I wanted one.
Mm-hmm.
They're just ordinary kind of guys that just like to go drive their cars.
Yeah.
And we've gone a lot of wineries with the Mustang Club. We've done a lot of, the bridges of Madison County.
Yep.
We went to Iowa. We went and looked at bridges.
Oh God.
But I mean, it's just fun that I've got,
funny.
that, my wife and I go and do things together.
Yeah.
And that's been the best part of my life.
Did she? I've met her briefly a few times, but did she have a career at all?
She was a registered nurse.
Okay, and did she do that full time, or what does she do?
On and off, depends on how our status was with our kids, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because we had 2 kids.
Sure. And does she still do that, or?
She quit working around 2012.
Okay. So we know your hobbies. I mean, what are her hobbies? What does she enjoy doing?
Her grandkids.
Okay.
And traveling. She loves her grandkids.
You do post a lot about your grandkids.
We do a lot of her grandkids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have more big wheels. No, the Power Wheels than I ever had.
And Corvettes.
Yeah, and I don't have it. I had 0.
Yeah.
I was so jealous of those kids.
So I might have told you this story, but for those that know me, probably heard the story. But so when I want something,
yeah,
I said, well, how much is that going to cost?
Mm-hmm.
So my wife said, it'd be fun to have one of those side-by-side things,
Oh, yeah, that's right. You did buy one of those.
Yeah, she goes, or she wanted a golf cart. Wouldn't it be fun to have a golf cart and take to the racetrack, take the Brainerd and stuff? I go, well, why don't we get a side-by-side?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. She goes, so one day, we go to the Yamaha dealer here in Bayport or Stillwater, whatever it's called over there. So we go over there. She goes, well, she goes, you drop me off at Kowalski's grocery store, and when you get done getting the deal done on them, you just come pick me up.
Yeah.
Never asked what it costs.
Yeah. She just wanted one.
So, but that's okay. It all works out fine. I'm very fortunate to have such a great wife.
Well, and the worst part about those side things is the initial cost is not cheap. They're not cheap to begin with,
Right.
But then once you start putting stuff on them, holy shit, those things become expensive.
So we got, let's see.
You got lights.
We got sound bar.
Yep.
We got lights on the roof.
Seats.
We got heated seats.
Wow.
We put heated seats in it.
Yeah.
We got a second battery.
Yep.
We got a heater.
A winch.
We got a big ass winch.
Yeah. You need a winch for.
I put bigger tires and wheels on it.
Yep.
Back bumper. I mean, that sound like much, but got a back bumper.
Yep.
Then I bought, Milwaukee packouts. Milwaukee packouts there?
Yeah.
So I bought the cleats for the Milwaukee packouts.
So you can stick them in there.
So I stick them in there. So we go on a trail.
Yep.
We use those.
Okay.
It just is what it is. It gets really good gas mileage. So it gets 9.1 miles per gallon.
Wow.
Yeah. 9.1.
Which is not bad when you're going in the infield of a drag, between drag race, areas.
Yeah.
The winch gets a lot of use when you get stuck in the.
Yes, it does.
In the parking lot.
And then of course you got to synthetic. You got to upgrade the winch rope to synthetic, even though you've never used the winch.
Right.
You've never used the winch, but you got to upgrade the rope, right?
Right. Of course. Well, yeah.
You got to do that, and then you got to put handles to make it easy to get in. You got to.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to get sides for the winter so you don't get cold.
Yeah. Nice doors and.
Yeah. So
you got a car basically. You have a Jeep.
Then you got to buy a trailer because you can't get into the trails.
Is it road legal? Are those things road legal?
Yes and no. Depends on where you live.
Okay.
So where I live, I can drive them on the streets, but I can't drive them on a state highway.
Yeah, they don't go fast enough, right?
Yeah, it goes 70.
Really? Will it really?
Yeah.
My God, I would not trust that thing at 70 miles an hour.
Oh yeah, you would.
Are they that stable?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They look rickety.
Well, it depends on what kind you buy too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they look on an accident like they're gonna fold.
Oh, it's got a full roll cage and everything.
Okay.
So, but it's fun. We have a good time with it, and our grandsons. We go on the trail. There's a trail in Amory that goes to Turtle Lake, and my grandsons are screaming, "Faster, Grandpa! Faster, faster!" And my wife said, "Slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down."
Yeah.
So, of course, then I put the soundbar in, right?
Yeah.
My wife goes, "What the fuck are you saying?" And I go, so we can listen to the music.
Yeah.
How the hell are you going to listen to music?
Yeah.
This thing. Well, now she's got the remote, and
Yep.
she's taking full control of that.
Yeah.
So now she understands why we need a sound bar.
Yeah, of course. It doesn't come with a stereo at all.
Mine did.
Or a crappy one.
Well, some of them come with one, but it's not
very good.
Not very good. So I bought a big sound bar that I put in the back.
Okay.
So
this is a question I've been curious about since you've been in sales your whole life, right? Doing well, at least battery.
Allegedly, yeah.
Yeah. And my wife says, salespeople are coin operated, right?
Ooh.
Have you heard that term before?
Ooh, no, but that's okay.
Right.
He's right.
Right, which is they don't do anything unless you
pay them.
Give them money. Yeah.
To a certain degree.
Well, they're incentivized by coin, and that you can't most salespeople are not driven by anything but other than getting the sale done. So the question I have for you is, and this is for my own benefit, is there anything that you do when let's say when you bought that side by side, is there anything that any particular tactic or use or anything that you try to get a deal, or do you just pay retail and call it a day?
Depends on what it is.
Okay.
So on those side by sides, first off, I had to wait months to get it.
Okay.
And if you didn't pay retail, you didn't get one.
Yeah, so it's tough shit or else.
Yeah, it was take it or leave it.
Got it.
Now when I bought my truck, I bought it on a day of a snowstorm.
Oh, okay. So there's nobody there.
Nobody there.
Right.
They
ain't selling shit.
Right. I bought my wife's car in an ice storm.
Mm-hmm.
Same kind of deal.
Okay. Supply demand.
Yeah, there's nobody there. Right. So I typically on that kind of stuff, and maybe I do this wrong, but I look at I go to Kelly Blue Book, and you do all your research on the internet, right?
Yeah.
And if I don't like the price, I leave. I don't sit there and argue with them anymore. You used to sit there and you debate it. It's too fucking old for that shit.
Yeah.
I walk in. This is what I want. How much is it?
Yep.
If I don't like the price, I leave.
Yeah.
My red car, I bought that as a car company employee of a manufacturer. I bought that at an employee price because a friend of mine called me.
Yeah.
He goes, I got one employee deal, but you got to buy the car in the next 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I bought it.
Sure.
So I bought it as a true car company employee.
Yeah.
So
those deals can be pretty good.
Yeah. Now what GM did, when GM, remember you said employee price for everybody?
Yeah.
They took all the incentives away.
Yeah,
So the price was actually higher.
Yeah, it was bullshit. I knew it was bullshit from the moment they said it.
Yeah. So, but this was the legitimate.
Yeah.
The legitimate deal. So it worked out fine. I was happy with the decision I made, but typically if I don't like it now, I just leave.
Yeah. So what's funny is you're the one who sent me the lead on the truck that I have now.
Yeah, because I went to that dealership.
Yeah.
So here's what I concluded. I had a Ram truck.
Yeah.
And my cars. I keep my cars clean.
Yeah, you keep them nice. Yeah.
It was rusted.
Mm-hmm.
My Ram truck was rusted.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't happy.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay. And then I had grandkids, and the back seat in the Ram was a club cab or whatever. It was an extended cab. It wasn't
the full crew. It was that 3/4 door thing.
And I couldn't put car seats back there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. And I couldn't pull a trailer with a car on it.
Mm-hmm.
I could pull the car and I could pull the trailer, but I couldn't put the car on the trailer. So I'm like, why would I truck it to pull something?
Sure.
So I found one on the dealership you went to. I found one on their website I liked, and I found one at the other dealership I liked.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'll be in at this time to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I'm trading in. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I bought a truck that day.
Okay.
Yeah. I regret in hindsight, I made some bad choices.
Yeah.
Because in hindsight, what happened is, if I would have known that my daughter was going to have 3 kids instead of 1 kid,
mm-hmm.
and I would end up driving my truck more than I drive it,
mm-hmm.
I would have got a nicer truck. So I had some criteria of things I wanted.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, what's the Chevy? LTZ is the good one.
That's the high, the upper trim.
So instead of getting an LT, I looked at LTs.
Yep.
I would have looked at LTZs.
Yep.
And a Ford, instead of looking at XLT 401As, I would have looked at Lariats or something else.
The nicer trim.
Yeah, with the push button start and some of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right. But I didn't get that because I know I would end up driving it.
Yeah.
As much as I do, because
Yeah.
we spend so much time with our grandsons. That's the only I can't put three of them in the backseat of a Mustang
Right.
or a Corvette.
Right.
So
Yeah. Well, I mean, you didn't know that at the time.
didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
And now I got a truck with 20,000 miles on it.
Right.
I can't justify buying a new
That's
truck.
5-6 years old, right?
No, when did you get yours? I got mine about the same time you got yours.
Well, mine's an 18. No, yeah, mine's an 17 actually, 2017.
I got mine in February of 2019.
Okay. Well, mine was a year old at that point, so I bought mine in 18.
Okay. Well, whatever it was.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's
Yeah.
I ain't gonna buy a new truck just because.
Right. Yeah. The did I tell you what happened with that deal with my
They
truck?
made a mistake on something, didn't they?
No, they didn't. But they pissed me off, and I'm not sure I'd go back there because I know unless there was some like crazy deal going on. So we go there, and the truck was marketed for 36,000. Okay, I had a trade in my car. They wanted $1,500 for it. Fine, whatever. It had 220,000 miles on it. Whatever, go take it. And so we're negotiating, and we have this deal where if I want something, and truthfully I didn't want anything. I was going to keep driving my Malibu until it literally died, and I had 220,000 miles going like a champ, still getting 35 miles to the gallon. It was a fantastic little car. My wife said you should buy a truck. Fine, whatever. She goes with me to the dealership. She negotiates because then it takes me out of the equation. It's something that it was for me, so she negotiates. If it's something for her, I negotiate. So it takes the emotion piece out of it. And so she's negotiating, and she's pretty good. I'll give her credit. She is an excellent negotiator, much better than I am. Her tactic is, make me feel good about this purchase, that sort of thing. And she's pretty good at it. And they're not budging on a single damn thing. They won't throw in oil changes. I mean, that's how little and petty they're getting with prices. Okay, they're not giving us coupons, nothing. And so finally we're like, all right, well, fine. We did take the truck. We bought it. We took it home. And I had a friend who at the time, his name is Craig, nice guy, helped me move. As a matter of fact, when we moved to this place, he was the warranty overseer. I don't know if that's the right word, but he's the guy that overlooks and certifies all the places for their warranties, the dealerships. Okay. So either if you're having issues with your warranties, or he'll come in and be like, no, you're not doing it right. Therefore, we're gonna yank your warranty program. Oh, he's that guy. Oh, right.
They fear him.
So he comes to me. He's on my pool team. At his name, and he comes to me and he says, "Hey Eric, I looked up your deal because I saw you told me about your truck." I said, "Yeah, I bought a truck." And he goes, "Would you like to know how much they made off of you?"
They didn't make anything.
I said, "Sure." He goes, "They made, if you include your trade-in, negative $22. And the reason why was because that was last year's model. It didn't sell. It had been sitting on the lot for 10 months. And they were paying Chevrolet whatever per month, and they wanted to get the thing the hell out of there." Now, here's what pissed me off. That part was fine. I was like, oh, okay, I walked away with a pretty good deal, $36,000 for a brand new truck, extended cab, Well,
when I saw you were talking about looking at used ones, that's why I sent you that link is because why would you buy a used one?
They're almost the same price at that time.
Yeah.
At that time, a 1 year older model with 25,000 miles on it was $2,000 cheaper. Why the hell would I? It made no sense. It made no sense. So we ended up doing the deal. I bought the thing. I traded in my car. I got the truck, and they had done. I always do the financing because normally my credit's really good, and I can build up some credit. Right. That's what I use it for. Yeah. And I could have paid cash, but I chose not to. And so they come back with like 7.5%, some complete bullshit number, and they're like, oh, that's the best we can do. We really fought for you. They come back with that bull crap, and I was like, A, no, you didn't, and B, stop lying to me. And they come back with there's nothing we can do about it. And he goes, but you got to make these payments 6 months in a row and all this other. I knew they were lying. you got to make, you got to make 6 payments in a row, and then you can refinance. That's the rule. You got to do this. I know they're lying. I'm just trying to get out of the damn door. And that's what pissed me off, was that they lied to me. I know what my credit score is. It's up there. I should be getting the best rate possible. So the next day I pick up the truck. I go and apply for loan at the credit union. Immediately transfer the thing. They didn't even get one payment out of me before that happened. And I got a phone call from the guy. He says, well, why would you want to do that? I said, because I know you're lying to me. I have the truck in my hand. I have the title, so there's nothing they can do at this point. And I'm just like, I don't like to be lied to. I don't like to be lied to. Yeah. So that was my issue, was that they lied to my face.
And they're a large dealership group.
They are, which is sad.
The guy I bought mine from owns 2 dealerships. He owns a Chevy dealership and a Ford dealership across the street.
Yeah. And they would bold-faced lie to me like that. Would you like some more?
I'm good.
You're good? Okay. I'm going to have just a wee nip more, as the Scots would say.
Yes.
It's the wee nip.
Being that you just got back from Scotland.
I did. Lots of castles.
I know.
I am so sick of castles.
Did you like my comments?
I did.
Is there a castle there?
Just 70,000 castles. I went to my own castle, which was under construction for the past 5 years.
What was kind of funny is we were in what do you call it, the Moors in Northern Ireland?
Yeah, the Moors, yeah.
And you can look across and see Scotland from there.
In Ireland, yeah. You can see, yeah.
Yeah, because we were there. We went to the TT in June.
Yes, the TT, yeah.
That was a fucking blast, man. I'll tell you what.
Were you at a corner, or were you on a straight? You saw them go by, right?
So here's what we did. So I bought a trip. I bought a package.
Okay.
From this British guy that lives in Dayton, Ohio, that sells the Italian Grand Prix. He does like car racing stuff.
Okay.
And his specialty is the TT.
Okay.
So we had
you buy like a vacation package from him.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. I bought, like the president of Honda stayed at our hotel.
Really?
So we stayed at the best hotel on the island. I figure if I'm getting my wife to go to a fucking motorcycle race in fucking Isle of Man, we're staying at the best possible. So I stayed at the best hotel. We and then in theory you could go to that race and never buy a ticket. Yeah, because how are they going to police? I mean, how long's the track? 9 miles or something? No, 37 3/4 miles.
Okay, 37 miles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So
that's a long track.
So one day, but there are corners with stands and seats that you can buy.
Yeah. Okay.
So we had corners with seats.
Okay.
And then on Monday, the last day we were there, we were in a suite where they gave the trophies to the winners and everything. Mm-hmm. So we're in a suite there. When I say a suite, it was probably held 300 people.
Okay.
In fact, Eddie, you know who Eddie Jordan is?
No.
So Michael Schumacher, when Michael Schumacher first started driving Formula One cars, his first race was driving for Eddie Jordan.
Really?
So Eddie Jordan was in our suite.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, and then, I don't know if you ever saw I posted this quote on Facebook, said, "Who the fuck is Michael Schumacher?" That was Eddie Jordan when Schumacher's manager went to Jordan and said, "You need to hire this guy. You need to put this guy in your car." And he goes, "Who the fuck is Michael Schumacher?"
Yeah.
So I'm
not saying that anymore.
The part that's funny is we're flying back, and I had this TT jacket on. This guy, across the aisle from me, goes, "Did you go to the TT?" And I go, "Yeah." And he was like 80 years old, right?
Yeah.
And we start talking. I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Fucking great." I go, "I couldn't believe it." I go, "These guys are nuts." I go, 5 guys got killed the week we were there. I mean, it's just crazy shit. I go, but the really cool part was Eddie Jordan was in our suite. He goes, "Oh, I play golf with Eddie."
Really?
Yeah. I'm like, this is really cool.
Yeah. Well, you've met a lot of interesting people through batteries.
Yeah, through a lot of different. Yeah.
But how many different? Because you've told me which by the way, pisses me off to no end that I don't get invited to when you say, "Oh, I'm in a suite at Road America in so and so suite," and I don't get an invite.
Yeah, but
here I am.
But a lot of that stuff, I don't have a choice in.
I'm just messing. I don't.
No,
I'm glad you're doing it because that's cool. I'm, envy. I'm envious.
You know, my last NASCAR race I went to. You know what I did, right?
What's that?
So I don't know if you know who Factory Motor Parts is.
Yeah, FMO. Yeah.
Yeah. So I helped them with their Menards program, their battery program there. I wrote all the lesson plans, helped with the planograms, I did all that
Oh,
shit,
yeah,
right?
you told me about that. Yeah. Yep.
So
The
the guy,
Menards is battery wall, essentially.
so, and I did all the training materials and everything.
Yep.
So so the guy there, he calls me every once in a while. He goes, "Oh, I feel so bad. I don't have any work for you." I don't want any work.
Yeah.
I don't need any work. Don't worry about it. So he goes, "What have you been doing?" I go, "Well, I was thinking of going to a NASCAR race in Virginia. Blah blah blah. My daughter lives in DC. It's a couple hours away. So you can go on a race." He goes, "What race you want to go to?" And I told him. He goes, "I'll call you back." Next day, a guy from Penske calls me.
Yeah.
We sat in Brad Keselowski's pit box for the whole race.
I remember you sending me a text and be like, "You'll never guess where I'm at." I'm like, "God damn it!"
I couldn't fucking believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2004. I went to 8 NASCAR races, 4 IndyCar races. I think it was 2 vintage races. The 12 hours of Sebring, the 24
That'd be
hours,
cool.
24 hours of Daytona.
Yep.
I know I'm missing the Formula One race at Indy.
That would be cool because they've never been back. They haven't been back to Indy in a long time.
No, didn't pay for any of it.
Yeah. See, I'm telling you, you get to a certain point. I think my wife has a point. You get to a certain point, people just want to give you free shit.
Yeah, but now nobody knows who I am now.
Well, yeah, it's a little bit of what have you done for me lately?
Yeah, so like now that Coletta knows that I can't do shit for him,
yeah,
they forget who I am.
Yeah, and to me, that's the shit part.
Yeah, but
of some of this.
I mean, they're all nice.
Yeah.
They all come out of the suite and say, "Hi, how you doing? Good to see you." But
Right.
they don't invite you back in anymore.
Yeah.
And when you call them, "Hey, you haven't got any?" No, we don't.
No, not around. Yeah.
You know, so that's kind of, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll let you get back to
Okay.
whatever you're doing.
We could do this.
Thank you so much.
We could do this all day. Seriously.
I know we could.
Thanks for stopping by.
Well, thank you. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff. And the idea behind this is, I really want to capture people who I am friends with, who I like and admire, and I look up to. And yeah, I give you a hard time about last. But it comes from my family. It's this family of, if we don't give you a hard time, that means we don't like you. So if they give you shit,
well,
you're in.
Shit sometimes too.
Well, I deserve it. I deserve as much as I give. And so I appreciate you coming down, and you took the time to drive all the way from Wisconsin, which is 20 minutes. It's not very far. But the cool part is we got to hang out.
Yeah.
And I consider myself lucky to count you as a friend, and I mean that sincerely. Cool. I really do mean that sincerely. And we got to talk to Mr. Parkhurst about doing more of those boys' night deals now that COVID's over and we can get back together, because we did try it and it didn't really kind of work very well. So
yeah, last one you came to the last one.
You, me, and Tom.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so we need to try to schedule another one.
Yeah.
I got to be honest with you though, I'm afraid to go down to Minneapolis.
There's plenty of places outside. A lot
of places to go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure there's a couple places in Wisconsin that are unknown, or there's a couple places around here that may not be like the most foodie place, but are still good, and you can still eat a steak and drink some bourbon or brandy in this case. And so I appreciate the time, and I do sincerely want to say that I'm lucky to count you as one of my friends, and it's been nice knowing you and talking to you, and I'm glad I took you up on the offer to use your lift.
Well, do you remember the time your wife was going to come over looking for you because you were spending more time? Remember when you left your wedding ring there?
I did. And you, because I thought it was
thought it was a bearing.
You thought it was a bearing, and you're going to throw it away.
Yeah, because I didn't know.
And my wife comes back. She goes, "Where's your wedding ring?" I go, I don't know.
Yeah, but now you have an American car again, so you're not working on it all the time.
I just drive it.
Yeah.
It just goes. I push the button and it goes. It's really nice.
Yeah.
That's a great place to end. Hey,
thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot.